to move?
Oh, Kelly was.
Yeah.
Oh no, I was talking about. I know from.
Yes, America!
Oh God. You are so good.
Let me try again. I think I figured out how to do it.
Kelly, you want to switch your bag? Kelly.
In the bag?
Your bag?
So we have.
Please, I'm coming
Kara.
Kara, don't go in front of that camera. Oh my goodness. No, it's fine. Go. How are you?
Only still got it.
America only has one. That's what I got. Whatever. The water.
Oh, they have to pay first.
Need a flag? He might have to. He says he thinks he might have to do it like on the internet route. Like, yeah, I can't figure it out. Yeah. I'm really sorry. Okay. Are we gonna stand for the flag?
We didn't Beloit because it came.
I don't know.
I mean, it's our fucking country.
I'm breathing this fucking thing.
Yes, you could just take all of them and just start passing them behind you. You could also start passing these stickers behind you.
You think we should stay here? It's our country. It's for my flag.
Honestly, I was scared.
I have two. I don't know.
He's in Daryl's She goes.
Doug on the road.
They were always on there. It was just the four.
I
don't recognize them.
Well, there's next year, I think it's 3 seasons.
I just want to take a picture. We're having a narrative.
So if you want to just share that with Bob,
It makes me not want to leave it to the
We're going to call this meeting of the school district back into open session. So, can I have your attention, please? Can I have a motion to return to open session? Roll call? Yes.
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 Josh?
Yes.
Evan?
Yes.
Would you please all rise, face the flag, and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation for all, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you and welcome everybody.
I mean, all?
Just to let you know, if you don't have an agenda in front of you, this is a little bit different this evening because this is the first meeting after the board elections. So we will have a few things that we have to do to reorganize the board, and then we'll head into our regular business agenda. Okay, first item is declaring the election results. I have received from the Winnebago County Clerk the results of the election for the 4 board seats open on Hononegah Community High School District 207 Board of Education. The 4 top vote getters are Josh Ballard with 3,194 votes, Eric Floor with 2,950 votes, Bob Geddes with 2,782 votes, Gail Hobb with 3,473 votes. Can I have a motion to declare those results official? Roll call.
Bob? Evan?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Mary? Yes. Dave?
Yes. Okay, now I need a motion to adjourn this board meeting sine die. That means that we're going to adjourn just temporarily and then reconvene. So can I have that motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Evan?
Yes.
Bob? Josh?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Mary? Yes. Dave?
Yes. Mr. Superintendent.
Great. Appoint President Pro Tem. Are there nominations for the position of Board President Pro Tem? Dave, second. Okay. Roll call for Dave Kurlinkus as President Pro Tem. Somebody give Dave a vote.
Dave?
Yes.
Mary? Yes. Eric?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Evan?
Yes.
Okay. We'll go to the business now. I will call this board meeting to order. Roll call.
Bob?
Yes.
Evan?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Mary? Yes.
Okay, new business, reorganization of the board. If the 4 board members who were newly elected would please stand and repeat along with me this very lengthy, and I apologize for this, very lengthy oath of office. Okay. Follow along with me, please. I,
I,
Lord,
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of the Board of Education, Hononegah Community High School, District 207.
In accordance with the Constitution of the United States,
The Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the laws of the State of Illinois, to the best of my ability. I further swear that I shall respect taxpayer interests by serving as a faithful protector of the school district assets. I shall encourage and respect the free expression of opinion of my fellow board members and others who seek a hearing before the board, while respecting the privacy of students and employees. I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority as an individual, and that decisions can be made only by majority vote at a public board meeting. I shall abide by majority decisions of the board while retaining the right to seek changes in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels. As part of the Board of Education, I shall accept the responsibility for a role in the equitable and quality education of every student in the school district. I shall foster with the board extensive participation of the community, formulate goals, define outcomes, and set the course for Hononegah School District.
I shall assist in establishing a structure and environment designed to ensure all students have the opportunity to attain maximum potential through a sound organizational framework. I shall strive to ensure continuous assessment of student achievement and all conditions affecting the education of our children in compliance with state law. I shall serve as education's key advocate on behalf of students and our community schools to advance the vision for our community school district 207. And I shall strive to work together with the district superintendent to lead the school district towards fulfilling the vision it created, fostering excellence for every student through the areas of academic skills, knowledge, citizenship, and personal development. Congratulations. Okay, almost through. Next is the election of officers. Welcome all the new board members and invite them to take their seats, which they have done. The secretary of the board will call the roll.
Mary? Here. Eric?
Here.
Josh?
Here.
Gail?
Here.
Evan?
Here.
Bob?
Here.
Dave?
Here. Okay, a quorum of the new board is present. The first order of business will be the election of board officers. Can I have a nomination for the position of board president?
I move to nominate Dave Kurlinkus for board president.
Are there any other nominations for board president? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, the motion is to elect David Kurlinkus as board president. Secretary will call the roll.
Gail?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Evan?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
Yes. On the motion of 7 votes voting aye and none voting nay, the motion carries and David Kurlinkus has been elected as board president. Okay, next is the nomination and election of the vice president. Are there any nominations for the positions of board vice president?
I move that Mary Lewis be elected as board vice president.
Second.
Okay. Are there any other nominations for board vice president? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, the motion is to elect Mary Lewis as board vice president. The secretary will call the roll.
Gail?
Yes.
Evan?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
Mary? Dave?
Yes.
Bob?
On the motion, there are 7 voting aye and 0 voting nay. The motion carries and Mary Lewis has been elected as board vice president. Are there nominations for the position of board secretary?
President, I move that Bob Geddes be elected as board secretary.
Second.
Are there any other nominations for board secretary? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, the motion is to elect Bob Geddes as board secretary. The secretary will call the roll.
Bob? Evan?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes. Okay, on the motion, there are 7 voting aye and 0 voting nay. The motion carries and Bob Geddes has been elected board secretary. Next item, I need a motion to ratify the existing policies for Hononegah Community High School District.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Eric?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Evan?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
And I need now a motion to establish the date, time, and place of regular meetings of the reorganized board. And I have a motion to establish every 3rd Wednesday at 7 p.m. in the Hononegah Community High School Library as the regular meetings of the reorganized board.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Gail?
Yes.
Evan?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Josh? Mary?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Okay. That takes care of the paperwork. Now we'll move on to the agenda. Next item is correspondence. I'll read these that I have, and I will tell you that we have received a number of of emails that came in late this afternoon that we couldn't get printed out, but I'm going to read the ones that we had prior to that. We received an email from Mrs. Maraji regarding unisex bathroom signs and male students changing with females in the locker room during PE. An email from Ms. Hose Ryan concerning the anti-trans group coming to present at the board, present to the school board at the meeting. An email from a concerned Rockton resident respectfully expressing opposition to the protest of inclusion of transgender youth in the school's locker room. I'll just read these down the line. I'm not going to read what the content is. We received written correspondence from Annie Singer, Rebecca Cramper, Gary Cayley, I'm sorry if I mispronounce these at all, Anita Scar, Paige Rao, Jennifer Archer, Mike Armstrong, Lori Marshall, Katie Chawansky, looks like Lauren Downing, Lauren Downing, I apologize again. Reagan Carter, Meg Trim, and I believe that's all that I have. As I said, we received a bunch of them late this afternoon. We didn't have time to print those off. Those will be collected and put into the board record. We're done. Okay, next item is student recognition. Mr. Doherty.
Student recognitions are our opportunity to identify and celebrate our students who exemplify scholarship, leadership, and citizenship. I'm going to ask Zoe McGuire and Owen Tyson to come to the stage. Today's format's a little bit different, and so we're punting right now. I'm going to have them come to the center stage so you can see them, board members. I have had the honor of spending a good portion of my day with these wonderful people and their parents, starting the day at the Illinois Principal Association Kishwaukee Student Leadership Breakfast, where it was a much bigger event. You guys want to come center stage and just be on display for everybody in the audience. I know we have serious matters coming, but we're here to start with celebrations, and that's you guys. Breakfast is about recognizing our students who have an impact in our school in a leadership capacity and outside of school in a leadership capacity. We always talk about these with the administrative team every year, and it was an easy decision this year. Owen has set himself apart in a variety of ways in the school and outside of the school. At the Purple and Gold event in the fall, we identify our student leaders, and Owen, along with many others, were there to lead our student group at the Purple and Gold and every event that came after in a very positive way. Always being responsive to administration, always being a great conduit between the student body and school leadership, and he's been an excellent example. So much so that outside individuals reached out to him to be the leader of an event that maybe some of you don't know is going on. I didn't know officially until last week. It is an event called Senior Assassin. See, I see some of you know about it. If you have known a senior in your life who's been wearing goggles and then suddenly isn't wearing goggles, Owen is responsible for this activity. He was identified as someone who could organize such a thing. He found sponsors. He found a way to get an enormous number of students in our special populations and all populations involved. And that activity is still going on. So if you know a senior who's still wearing goggles, good for them. What I appreciate most about Owen's leadership of this particular activity is that it is not allowed at school. Thank you, Owen. Another way that Owen has come to my attention is in the fall we conduct regional meetings with our Education Manufacturing Connections group. Owen's name came up spontaneously from an individual from Forest City Gear, where Owen had set himself apart over the summer. Just as a fantastic employee and leader in that group, and that is where Owen will be returning to begin his career with Forest City this summer. So congratulations to Owen. is no slouch either. Zoe has been active in Key Club, Student Council, NHS, you name it, Zoe's involved in it. Zoe's been a leader. Zoe has been active, in fact, and a member of the mayor's, the chairman of the Mayor's Leadership Council since 2023, at which time, I think it was the spring, you organized in a campaign for suicide awareness. We conducted that here at school and throughout the entire region. Zoe led that event. Now, not to be someone who just rests on her laurels, Zoe is the president of the North Central District of the Student Council, so leadership level at the state level. She is a tremendous leader and has been active as a strategic plan student for us as well, participating in our process and providing the student voice in that process. So you are looking at two exceptional individuals who lead at a variety of levels, and it has been my pleasure to spend my day with them today in the last 4 years. We're very excited about their future. As I mentioned, Owen is going into manufacturing at Forest City Gear, and Zoe, though she doesn't know where, is going to be studying healthcare. Congratulations to Owen.
The Hononegah Community High School District 207 Board of Education congratulates Hononegah's 2025 Illinois Principal Association Kishwaukee Student Leadership Award winner, Zoe McGuire. And Owen Larson.
And now if I could get you guys to turn and face me for our Thank you very much, everybody.
Here are some slides I forgot to click to. That's us this morning. Okay. Thank you, everybody. And now we turn our attention to a staff member who wants no recognition at all and was disappointed when she saw herself on the agenda. But those of you who know anything about our state assessment, you know that over the course of the last 3 years, there has been some significant change. Now, organizing the state assessment requires a significant level of logistical effort. You're activating 150 staff members to be in classrooms all over the entire building. Last year, that involved the digital SAT for the first time, and also the Illinois Science Assessment and the DLM. That's 5 assessments given to our students in grades 9, 10, and 11, and our special education students. To activate that kind of support over the course of the year is a big deal. Well, you can't, in Illinois, just rest on doing the same thing twice. Illinois changed the entire assessment system. Now we are ACT. So this year we took the digital ACT with writing. She had to organize with all the middle schools, and we were ready to roll. She had trained all of our staff. The test had been implemented successfully at the middle schools already, and come test day, we were ready. The state of Illinois and ACT, however, were not. And I'm not kidding you. At 8:47, tests beginning at 8:50, at 8:47, the system came online. Kathy Ekman held her calm, she sort of held her calm. She did a great job. She did a much better job than I did, holding her calm in the middle of that. Other districts chose to abort testing and do it on an alternate day, which I did not blame anybody. It was a tense day. Kudos to the entire staff of Hononegah Community High School for executing an amazing test day for our juniors that day. The freshmen and sophomores came back the next day and implemented their ACT Secure for the practice test. Juniors, however, got a protected test environment. All of that is because of Ms. Kathy Ekman and her test coordination skills. Please, a round of applause for Ms. Ekman and her test coordination. Here comes your certificate, Kathy, and I bet you're going to refuse a picture.
Wait a second. I have your certificate. Kathy Ekman, the Hononegah Community High School District 207 Board of Education recognizes you for your meticulous planning and coordination of state testing, as well as your exceptional leadership in preparing and training staff for the transition to the digital ACT. Thank you for everything, Kathy.
And now we transition to board presentation, departmental presentation. Ms. Ice is going to take the stage here.
Wow, thanks for coming.
Senor Ice? Senor Ice?
Yes. Oh, I'm not loud enough? Okay, I got to coordinate here. Okay, hello, hola. I am Mrs. Ice, Senora Ice, and I teach Spanish, and I'm the department coordinator for world languages. And besides learning the language and learning different words for same things, we also learn about culture. And a culture is about thinking about a different way of seeing things. So, what are we doing in our classes? Let's take a trip, a field trip. We have been on field trips for the first time since COVID. And why is that? Well, there's been a shortage of bus drivers, and we've had to work within certain parameters. And so we have been really excited about these field trips because the students get to experience the world outside of our school and their homes and their community. So it's culture in action. So where have we gone and what have we done? So, hey, and believe it or not, there are students who have never been to a museum.
What? Oh, sorry.
Yes, it is true. So we teach vocab about seeing art, and sometimes they have not been to museums. So that's why our field trips are really important, because a lot of families don't have those opportunities to do those things. So where did we go? Second year French cooking class. They went to the Alliance Française. I do not speak French in Chicago, but it is a French language school all over the nation. And they learned how to make some simple but classic French recipes. Croquettes, monsieurs, madeleine, cookies, and salade with French vinaigrette. So, Mr. Doder, if you could click on that second year French cooking class, and you can see some pictures of our students. Yeah, there they are at the Alliance Française, and they are cooking and learning. And right down here, this last little picture is Madame McCoy, and she teaches our French classes, so it's exciting. All right, so back to our presentation. Where else did we go and who went? Honors French 3 and AP French went to Madison, and they had 3 stops. So stop number 1, they were at La Baguette French Bakery, and this is an authentic French-owned bakery where students ordered and interacted in the French language with the owners of the bakery. And the students got to taste authentic French baked goods and bring some home to share with their families. And so that's the group that went. Stop number 2, they were at the Chesney Museum, and the students studied French Impressionistic artwork, and as an assessment, they described and analyzed artwork, and that's a picture of them. And stop number 3, they visited a chocolatier and an artisan cheese shop, where students learned more about cheese and chocolate making processes and participated in a tasting. Isn't that fun? Yes. Just like our keynote speaker said this year, we need to bring the fun back into our classes, and so we're doing our best. Spanish 3 and Honors Spanish 3 went to the Latino Arts Cultural Center in Milwaukee. And Spanish 3, they got to see, so the Latino Arts Cultural Center in Milwaukee is an excellent place to visit. They have all kinds of things to offer for educational purposes and for enjoyment. And so the Spanish 3 students got to see and learn more about authentic ofrendas, which are traditional altars commemorating family members that are no longer physically with us but forever present in our hearts. And those are two examples of what they got to see. And then Honors Spanish 3, they went to a show and said Soy de aquí ahora, which means I am from here now, and where they learned about interconnectedness of cultures, traditions, and people with vibrant dancing, colorful attire. You can see a picture right there. And this show honors the stories of migration, struggle, and triumph that shape the Latino identity. So I'm just going to show you a little clip of the dance. It's kind of hard to see, but kind of gives you a little idea. All right, and so how do we learn how to do these things? Well, our teachers, they get to go on, they get professional development, and one of our teachers went on a trip leader training tour to Panama. And that was Senora Walsh. Senora Walsh went to Panama in January for professional development, and it was offered free by EF Tours. So she didn't have to pay a thing, and all because she is taking students to Costa Rica this summer. The training tour included authentic experiences of the Spanish language and Panamanian culture, seminars on leading successful tours. Also, the topics included curricular alignment, student-driven learning, building your travel team, and creating a global education. There's some pictures there of Panama, and also, of course, every time we have professional development, it's all about teacher networking. We are going to Costa Rica, as I just said, Costa Rica in this summer. So Senora Walsh is the head teacher on this trip. I am also going, and Senora Weldon, and 28 travelers from our school and community will be on this list. And I say community because we do have 4 parents who are going on this trip. Of those students, they are all taking Spanish, and 11 of those students are enrolled or will be enrolled in AP Spanish or Spanish 4 in the fall. So all of them are in Spanish 3 or 2 or 1. This trip will be a wonderful opportunity for them to immerse themselves in the language and culture, and we do expect them to speak the language while they are there. And finally, this is almost over, but we are offering a new course. I'm so excited. I have been here for 28 years, and we've had the same curriculum, and now we get to offer a new course of Heritage Spanish, which is Spanish for Spanish speakers. And we already have 14 students enrolled, and 5 of whom are ELL students. And so I'll be taking that journey with those students. And I thank you all for your support, and welcome to World Language. Thank you.
Are there any questions for Senora Ice before she departs? Thank you, Senora Ice.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is public comment, and I have a few remarks about that. Welcome to the April meeting of the Hononegah Community High School District 207 Board of Education. As we enter the public comment agenda item, a couple of comments may be useful to those of you who haven't attended a board meeting before. First of all, we ask that you limit your comments to 5 minutes, and we will not tolerate personal attacks or inappropriate language. This is a time we reserve each month to listen to concerns from the public regarding Hononegah. It is not a question and answer session, nor is it a debate among members of the public. It is a time for the board to listen. No actions can be taken on items which are not on the public agenda in accordance with the Illinois Open Meetings Act. The board and administration have received a number of communications regarding topics which may be the subject of speakers under public comment. No action will be taken on those topics. All emails that have been received have been referred to Superintendent Dugan for investigation, review, and response as appropriate. This is a procedure followed for all issues raised in communications to the board, including those raised in public comment. In anticipation that there will be a number of speakers who wish to address the board tonight, we will have speakers address the board for 5 minutes each per board policy. Speakers will be called in the order from the sign-up sheet. After 1 hour from the beginning of the public comment session, we will adjourn the public comment and conduct the board business meeting. At the conclusion of the business meeting, we will reconvene public comment and conclude that portion of the agenda to allow any person who wishes to address the board to do so. We're all part of the Hononegah Nation, and we're all concerned about our children. That's why you're here. That's why we're here. Okay. If the speakers would come down and speak at the podium down here, I'll call you in order. We will time these, and we'll give you a flag when you've got 1 minute left. First on the list is Kathleen Dingle.
Thank you. Mine's about 2 minutes. Good evening. My name is Kathleen Dingle. I'm a school psychologist, a mom, and I'm here to represent the newly formed ACLU of Illinois Community Group in the greater Rockford area. We are here tonight to address the board regarding calls for a change to the current school policy that allows transgender students access to the restrooms and locker rooms that align with their gender identity. You should be clear about the state of law in Illinois. The Illinois legislature, through a democratic process, included protections in the Illinois Human Rights Act against discrimination based on gender identity. Those protections were signed into law by a governor, and the Illinois Human Rights Commission, a neutral forum that hears discrimination complaints, has found that these protections include the ability of students in the Illinois public schools to use the restrooms and locker rooms that are consistent with their gender identity. To deny a student this access would be discrimination and open up the school district to complaints under Illinois law. You will hear voices this evening suggesting that you are breaking the law because President Trump has issued an executive order barring transgender students from using the restroom and locker room consistent with their identity. This executive order is part of Trump's relentless, cruel campaign to erase trans and non-binary people from our society. But his executive order is not a law. It is not a court order. It was not passed by Congress. It is not in the Constitution. It simply reflects the president's view of what he would like the policy to be. A piece of paper, even a piece of paper signed by the president, does not erase the democratic process in Illinois. And you should not be bullied into believing that the president can set policy for you. Let me close by noting one stubborn fact. Namely, the current policy is in place all across the state of Illinois, in schools large and small, and the policy has functioned for years in many schools, including this one, without incident or protest. The hyperbolic protests of people from outside of our community who are opposed to the current policy is not an invitation to fix any problem. It is an invitation to enshrine discrimination into our schools. As leaders of an educational institution, you must resist an invitation to discrimination. It is wrong, and it will only invite litigation for the school district. Thank you.
Marlene Walker. Weber will be next after Ms. Walker. Ms. Walker?
Thank you. I'm the Reverend Marlene Walker, pastor of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Rock Valley here in Rockton. I am a resident of District 207. I am also the proud grandmother of 3 Hononegah students. I support the board and its current policies that respect and support the rights and safety of trans students at Hononegah. My faith as a Unitarian Universalist is grounded and centered in love, and our first principle that all people have inherent worth and dignity, including trans people. I urge and support the board to not give into pressure from a small group of people who are creating a problem where there is none for their own political purposes and see trans people as unworthy or worse. This is trans hatred and has no place in our school or community. I urge and support the board to continue following both state and federal law that requires respect and safety for all students, especially trans students. I am grateful for the support Hononegah has given to trans students and hope that that continues. Thank you.
Next, coming up after the Webers is, I believe it's Soren Petrovitz. I can't read the first name. Petrovitz is the last name. Sorry, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Eric Weber. It's my wife Carly. We both went to school here. All 3 children that we had went to school here. So a lot of years, a lot of locker rooms that we've been in. So I'm just coming tonight to appeal to the board as a concerned parent. I just try and put my mind in the state of a young girl that's trying to participate and be in a locker room with her friends. I just can't comprehend what goes through her mind. I really don't understand how that's normal to somebody. Just thinking about my daughter having to go through something like that. As a father, I'm not sure what I would do. So the fathers that have daughters here right now, I stand for you. And I just really want the formality that you guys have as a board. It's very respectful. It's you guys do things the right way, and I commend you for that. And I think we need to do things the right way.
I just would like to echo that, and standing in front of former principal and current principal like that, I'm nervous standing in front of the principal. And so I just want to say that makes me think of these girls who don't feel brave enough to stand in front of the principal and say, I'm scared to change in front of a man. Our daughter changed in these locker rooms, our sons changed in these locker rooms, and this topic was brought up in our home. We would have supported them had they asked us to pull them from sports. And I would hate to see a young girl leave a sport that she wants to participate in because she doesn't want to get naked in front of another gender. I'm not saying that I don't want to help people who are confused about who they are in life, but I'm just saying maybe the same locker room isn't the right place for that person, and maybe we look at and stand up for those voices who are afraid to speak up for themselves, because they are the majority. There's a large majority of young ladies that are afraid to say, I'm scared in my locker room. Please help them. Please help them.
You funny. You're funny.
Elizabeth Petrovich. Okay, and then next is Jennifer Mirage.
Hi, my name is Soren Petrovich, and I am a Hononegah senior, and I just recently turned 18 years old, and I would like to share my experience about being a transgender man at Hononegah High School. I would just like to start off with the my gratitude to the school board and the staff and administrator, because you guys have welcomed trans students in open arms, and the support that I received at this school has been amazing, and I'm proud to say that I'm a Hononegah student. So in regarding of the locker rooms, because that is the topic that we are all here for tonight, when I go change to gym, I am given a locker accommodation. I am only with other transgender students when I am changing. It is me and the other transgender students and nobody else. And I also would like to remind our community what Hononegah is and what Hononegah stands for. Hononegah advocates that we are for everybody and not just for certain people. We are one Hononegah, and that we greatly support everybody and their beliefs, and we try to accommodate for everyone and their situations. And I would just like to once again thank the board, staff, and administration for being here tonight. And because if they weren't here, I would not be standing and telling my story as my experience as a transgender man at Hononegah High School.
And then after that is Rena and following?
Yeah.
Okay, Rena, you're next.
As you said, my name is Jennifer Maraji. I'm starting tonight with a story because every student here in this community is valued. And we all want our kids to grow up to be healthy adults, wives, husbands, mothers, and fathers. They're the future of our community. Here's my story. I run 2 weekly prayer meetings to pray for our communities and our schools. One is in Rockford on Sunday nights, and one is out of my home here in Rockton on Thursday nights. Neither are church functions, it's my own doing. A little over a year ago, I got a call from a friend who lives in Madison on a Thursday evening, right before the start of my prayer meeting. She said that her friend Sadie was driving back with some friends to her home in Minnesota, and her car had broken down in Rockton about 10 minutes from my house. She asked if I would help, and I said of course I would. I canceled my prayer meeting. She then proceeded to tell me that she had let Sadie know that I was, quote, safe. It may be a bit obvious in my home that I love Jesus. He saved me from some pretty awful situations. My friend in Madison was wise enough to know that these telltale signs in my home would put Sadie on edge because of a false narrative often spread about Christians. You see, Sadie had recently had gender reassignment surgery and was taking hormones. Both of her friends are transgender as well. I met them on the side of a country road. It was dusk. We tried jumping the car with cables to no avail. Sadie and her friends were stuck. They were reluctant to come to my home, and I couldn't blame them, but my friend in Madison assured them I was still, quote, safe. I fed them. I gave them a tour of my historical home. We played with my dog, and I talked to them about the gamers convention they were coming from in Indiana, and the lives they had back home. I blew up air mattresses for them and left them in my living room to sleep. The next morning I made them breakfast, and then later in the afternoon, I took them to pick up the car. Sadie texted me when they made it safe back to Indiana and thanked me for my kindness. I've never seen them again. But I love them still. Oh. And I'm so glad I was able to help them. People are people, and God calls us to love and help all of them. The issue isn't about trans kids or non-trans kids. This is about our school protecting all of our kids now and in the future. 6 years ago, this legislation regarding Title IX was introduced at Hononegah as policy. And yes, I was concerned about it, and I investigated it. This is what I was told. Alternate changing in restroom space is provided for all the trans students, and if they don't want to use the restroom or locker room that corresponds with their biological gender, that is the space they will use. This was and is a false narrative.
2, students are no longer required to dress out for PE in order to avoid this problem. This is also a false narrative, and there's plenty of moms and students who will vouch to you that should parents or authorities choose to investigate. My sons, along with many other students, only wear or wore sweatpants to school, or sometimes sweats underneath their jeans to avoid changing for PE, because if students don't obey the rules, they'll receive a detention. My sons also refuse to use the restrooms because of the violence and drugs notoriously known about in there. They are among many students who hold their bodily functions 8 hours a day, 5 days a week to avoid your restrooms. Parents, start asking questions. Incidentally, can you imagine the non-fashionable choices teen girls have to make in order to avoid changing in the locker room for gym? There are 2 adults supervising changing time in the locker room for every PE period. This is also a false narrative. Multiple students have noticed 1 to 2 adults monitoring the outside of the locker room or just inside the doors. Some of the students say there is no supervision at all. Finally, if students complain about a trans student in the locker room, they will be given a separate space. Misleading narrative. Students were never informed that young men or women were entering their locker room, nor were they informed that they could object if they didn't like it. It just started happening. I know I'm not changing your mind. I know nothing about starting a non-for-profit. I think there's a group here who recently did that, and it wasn't overly popular, so maybe they'll want to help me start mine. It'll provide a safe place for students and their families to come whenever they are harassed, assaulted, and or abused at that high school. I talk to 30 kids from this community every week in my piano bench, and I have a waiting list with more. I'm going to figure this advocacy group out, and this high school is going to be safe for students and parents again. The corruption at the administration faculty level, the cover-ups are going to end. You have my word, and my own 4 children will tell you that actually means something. Thank you.
Julia Hochstein is next.
Hello, my name is Rena Falwell. I'm a parent of a transgender student who graduated from Hononegah. I'm here tonight because I will not stay silent while others try to bully this school into targeting vulnerable kids. Let's call this what it is, a coordinated attack on trans and non-binary students. These people aren't trying to protect children, they are trying to erase them. They use fear and misinformation to paint trans kids as threats, when the only danger here is their hatred and ignorance. My child is not a threat. Trans and non-binary students are not a threat. What is a threat is adults using their platform to dehumanize children for political gain. Hononegah's teachers, staff, and parents have already done the hard work. They have taken great strides to ensure the safety of all their students. Why all of a sudden has this group shown up demanding the school create a problem where no problem exists? It is proven fact that providing supportive spaces for trans and non-binary children greatly reduces rates of self-harm and suicide. Research shows that when they feel accepted and respected in their identities, their mental health improves, leading to lower levels of depression, anxiety, and suicidal behavior. The goal of this group isn't safety, it's exclusion. It's cruel, and we will be just as loud in our defending our kids as they are in attacking them. Stand with the students and families who are just trying to live in peace. Protect their kids, not just protect all their kids, not just the ones that fit into somebody else's sad, narrow worldview. Whoa. I will leave you with this. As he went along, he saw a man blind from birth. His disciples asked, Jesus, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Neither this man nor his parents sinned, said Jesus. But this happened so that the works of God, might be displayed in him. Thank you.
Like this Right. Hi, I'm Julia Hudson. I want to thank everybody for giving me the chance to address the board today. I don't have kids that are ready to be at Hononegah yet, but I do have kids that are coming up in the district. They still have a few years to go. I'm here to support the current policy that allows a student to use the restroom, changing room, and all the other supportive policies that we have for our students that are LGBTQ, trans, and non-binary. While I wasn't a Hononegah graduate, I am the daughter, sister, cousin, niece of Hononegah graduates. I grew up loving this school as much as the neighboring school I happened to graduate from. And when my kids get to this school, I am going to be so proud, but only if we are continuing to be a school that is open and loves all of their students equally, not just the ones that certain members of the community think are worthy. I want us to be a school where we don't have students who are being bullied, where we don't have students who have staff or so-called adults or other students who are concerned, dictating policy that is grounded in bigotry and manufactured hysteria. The fact is, cases of assaults in bathrooms by trans people or other parts of the LGBTQ community are so fringe that there aren't even statistics on it. The concern that parents talk about the things that are happening in locker rooms, in restrooms, and women, if you're like me, when we were in school, we didn't like to be in the locker room any more than anybody else because it is embarrassing when you're 16 years old and you don't want to look at anybody else because you don't want anybody looking at you. Listen, the state of Illinois has made it clear that there is a precedent and a law in place to protect these students. But more importantly, we have a history in this school district of teaching great AP history classes that teach that to be on the right side of history, you aren't a bigot. Nobody is on the right side of history by doing wrong to other people, and that has been the story of our lives, whether Jesus is saying something all the way up till now. I'll finally leave it at this. Right now, we still have Hononegah on our maps, on our crest. Hononegah was a member of the Potawatomi and Iroquois Nation. Both nations represent or supported and recognized Two-Spirit people. A school district that claims to want to respect and honor Hononegah and her name, we should also be a school district that respects some of the legacy that her tribe saw in their wisdom far before European settlers got here. I want to thank the board and all of our community who turned out to support these students. I don't know who my children are going to be. They're still in the growing phase, but I hope when they come here, we're not only supporting our trans students, but also getting to the root of the bullying that is supposedly happening in locker rooms, and the drug use and everything else. If that's a true problem, I guarantee it's happening with more students than just our trans students. So, thank you very much.
Lori Lee, Max, you're next.
Good evening, members of the board, faculty, staff, and community members. My name is Lori Lee, and I'm here tonight not just as a parent to a current student at Hononegah, and one past, and one coming up, but as someone who believes deeply in protecting our most vulnerable youth, our transgender and non-binary students. We're living in a time when simply being yourself has become a battleground. At our schools, places that should be safe havens for growth, learning, and belonging have become a ground zero for hate. Our transgendered students are being bullied, harassed, misgendered, and excluded. But it does not stop with kids in the hallway. We now see organized hate groups coming into our communities, into our schools, causing chaos, spreading misinformation, and stirring fear. They shout loudly, not because they're right, but because they know their hate only survives in noise. When we allow these groups to show up unchecked, when we give them platform in school board meetings, or when we remain silent in the face of their cruelty, we are failing our students. We are showing them that their pain is up for debate and that their safety is optional. Let's be clear. Hate is not a difference of opinion. It's a weapon, and it's one that contributes directly to the devastating mental health crisis among LGBTQ+ youth. According to the Trevor Project, more than half of transgender and non-binary youth seriously considered suicide in the past year. Think about that. Imagine a student walking through our school doors with that kind of pain on their shoulders. Then add bullying, isolation, and adults who look the other way. We cannot call ourselves educators or leaders if we don't take a stand when it matters most. Our trans students deserve more than tolerance. They deserve protection. They deserve affirmation. They deserve to see us rise to the occasion when hate rises to walk through the door and call itself concern. To the trans students and families listening tonight, you are loved. You are valuable, and your presence makes our schools stronger, so thank you. To this board, I say now is the time to act, not later, not after another suicide, another mental health crisis, another child walking away from their education because they no longer feel safe. We have the power to choose courage over comfort. Let's use it. Thank you.
Good evening. I was a trans student at Hononegah from 2018 to 2022. I came out in 2020 during COVID. Changing for gym stopped being required during that year and has not returned since. I had a friend who was trans and had to go all the way to the nurse's office to change in 2018 and 2019 because it had the only gender-neutral bathroom and they were uncomfortable changing in the women's room. This walk of shame from the gym hallway to the nurse's office very clearly labels them as other, as different, as undesirable. This walk exposes them, strips them of their dignity in a time of their life where dignity is fragile and fleeting. Being a high schooler is already hard enough when you are cisgender, straight, and neurotypical. Being a high schooler is never easy, it's never simple, it's unpredictable and terrifying. But when you are transgender or neurodivergent, not straight or otherwise visibly different, a target is painted on your back and you will never be able to wash it off. You will not just be a target for students, but for adults who view you as a threat to their children, adults who no longer view you as another child the same age as theirs. This is not an issue of protecting women. This is an issue of ostracizing children at one of the most vulnerable times in their lives. The student at the core of this meeting has the right, by law of 6 years, to be in that locker room with her fellow girls. She has the right by law to that comfort and sanctuary. She has the right by law to be left in peace during a time where dignity is fragile and fleeting. She has a right by law to be protected along with her fellow young women. She has a right by law to exist. She has a right by law to be seen and respected and heard and loved. I once read that God gave humans the ability to shape their bodies in transition for the same reason he gave us wheat but not bread and grapes but not wine, so that we may participate in the joy of the act of creation. Trans rights are human rights, and they always will be. We will never be silenced, we will never be eliminated, and that is a fact solidified in anthropology and history. We must protect our children, for they are all we have. Thank you.
Before I even begin, Mr. Doherty, I want to give you an apology because I mean this as respectfully as possible. I may be just a girl. I'm not intimidated to be up here speaking in front of anyone on this stage and in front of my community. I will never come up here and talk about how I'm afraid to stand up for the children in this community. It's a shame that some people are. With that said, my name is Kelly Kulak, Some of you know me, some of you do not. I'm a Rockton resident, a mother of 3, and I'm actually here to speak today on behalf of State Line Indivisible. State Line Indivisible is an organization that has recently formed within the northern Winnebago County area. We are made up of local parents and residents who are determined to fight against dangerous legislation and policies against democracy, and also to hold elected officials responsible. The very first thing I want to do is thank all of the administration, the teachers, the board, for the excellent job that Hononegah is currently doing supporting all of their students. There are a lot of thoughtful steps that have taken place, such as unisex restrooms, locker rooms that have private stalls, supervision in place, and PE uniforms being no longer required. Trans students are using these options without any issue, and no complaints from parents or students have ever been reported. Safety and privacy is important to all of us, and banning transgender people from these spaces does nothing to make others safe. Conversely, transgender people face increased risks of harassment and violence when forced to use bathrooms that don't align with their gender identity. This manufactured outrage here today is not about safety. It's about targeting transgender youth under the guise of protection. Personal and religious and political beliefs are being used to justify discrimination, and there is no place for that at Hononegah. We urge you to publicly affirm your support for LGBTQIA students in these halls and reject fear-based exclusionary policies. Our kids deserve better than to be pawns in someone else's culture war. Thank you.
Good evening and thank you. I'd like to say also, you're not scary. And I can't imagine any time past being 8 years old that I would have been afraid to go to my principal or my teacher and say something's going on in the bathroom or in the locker room and it's not okay. I don't think that anyone I've been raised with would have been afraid to say to a trusted teacher or a counselor or maybe one of their friends, something is going on in the locker room and we're not safe and something needs to be done about it. So the narrative that I'm just a little girl and I don't feel safe saying that I feel unsafe, it doesn't feel credible. And so I'm sorry if you guys want to feel like you're big and scary, you're not. I also want to thank you all for creating an environment in which students do feel safe. Students who are LGBTQIA, students who are neurodivergent, students who are just really quirky. They can come here and be themselves and feel accepted and get on their teachers' nerves because they get excited about what they're learning, or, you know, get too rowdy in the lunchroom maybe because they're really excited about being here with the other divergent kids and the other LGBTQIA kids and all the other people we haven't smashed down into the little boxes that some other people would like us to smash them down into. I'm proud to be raising my children in this district. I'm proud to be able to say my kids go to a school where they uphold laws that respect basic human rights, where they follow Title IX, where they care about the 14th Amendment and equal protection, where when we go to the school board meeting and they swear in new school board members, well, new is an interesting word there, but you know what I mean. You guys get up and you swear to uphold the U.S. Constitution and the Illinois State Constitution, to follow the laws. Woo! Woo! Woo!
was here. We all heard you swear to uphold those laws, which you have been doing, and I'm so thrilled for our students that you have been following those laws, which not only are they laws, but they are settled laws as it pertains to the cases of students using restrooms and locker rooms. These are things that have been challenged in court. I think, what is it, the 7th Circuit Court? And they've said, yes. The courts have said, these laws stand. And so, I mean, it's not just like a brand new law. It's been a law for many years, and you guys are doing what you just swore to do. And it's kind of wild that we're here having to argue about it when it hasn't even been a real problem until, I don't know, someone said something online, and then politicians who literally don't even live in our school district.
You don't go here.
A controversy, so now we all have to show up and be like, yay, go team, we followed the law. So, yeah, yay, go team, we followed the law.
Senator Chesney on deck.
Oh, he doesn't go here.
Hi, my name is Chris Griffith. I have 2 sons who graduated from Hononegah, though it's been a few years since they were students. Everyone, every student should be, and every parent should be alarmed as what is happening to transgender youth in our country, not just here in Hononegah, but in our country. The Williams Institute estimates that only 0.6% of youth in the United States identify as transgender. 0.6%. That's a really small percentage. And despite that low number, the ACLU is tracking 569 anti-LGBTQ+ bills across the United States just this year. The Rockton Institute for Genocide Prevention and Human Security, they're a watchdog for the world. They watch the world's actions and they listen to the rhetoric that's targeted against populations. And they have issued a red flag alert for genocide rhetoric for the United States of America. A red flag alert for the genocide rhetoric of the U.S. President Trump from his March 4th address, where he stated a textbook example of perpetrator speech as it targets
Please. It's not political, but you brought your magic here. Please.
Remove them.
As a textbook example of perpetrator speech as it targets transgender people and a layered agenda that fits in the 9th pattern of genocide, which is denial and prevention of identity through laws, decree, speech, acts, and practices of group power. Let that sink in. The United States of America has a red alert for genocide because of the actions people are taking against transgender children.
Remove them!
We have to stop this as a nation, and that begins in our own state, in our own hometowns, and our own schools. Just a few minutes ago, every single one of you that were brought into the school board took an oath to protect every student. That all students are and that are fostering excellence in every student. Hateful and dangerous rhetoric that's
Remove them.
I join in requesting that you uphold the current policies.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman!
In the state of Illinois. Thank you.
No, you don't.
I'm here tonight because mom called me and said there's a problem, and I believe her. I believe her.
Is that a mom?
And she says that biological males are coming into these locker rooms.
She has no kids there.
And undressing in this school district.
Liar.
Every biological male that walks into a female restroom is assaulting that female.
Oh my God. President.
And I'm asking the school board to stand with me because we are not going to allow the deranged and the radical left to hijack this great institution. Each and every vote I take.
What about the last
to
speaker?
Protect women. Each and every vote I take is to make sure that tampons don't go in boy bathrooms because there are two genders. There are only two genders, and that is male or female. Gender is not fluid. It is not on a spectrum.
You're a weak man.
And you're a weak man to allow biological males. Here's what I'm going to ask the Hononegah School Board tonight. I'm asking you to stand with Representative Cabello and I and fight. I'm asking you to fight for the young girls that are scared. I'm asking you to fight for these young girls that don't have the courage because they're so young to say something yes. And when they
Stop
do,
worrying about our daughters.
They get hijacked by the minority of this conversation that wants to allow biological males to enter into our sports. They want to enter into our bathrooms and our locker rooms. And that is simply perversion. That is
you are perverse! Everything you do is perverse!
You cannot educate in Hononegah unless you protect those vulnerable kids in Hononegah. And that starts with our biological girls that are being exposed to biological men.
Keep my kid away from you.
Pervert!
And what I'm asking you for is to be bold. And I recognize it's not without some risk. I recognize there's conflicting state law and federal law, and there's a lot of discussion on this topic. And I can empathize with the topic until it comes to our kids. Board members, we have a responsibility to protect the most vulnerable. And that most vulnerable are the biological women that each and every time they come to your school, they run the risk of having a biological man see them. And that is
close your eyes!
Put veils on them.
And you know, it's interesting. You know, we take a lot of votes in Springfield to protect you.
Why are we entertaining him? He's not above the rules.
Please be courteous, please.
They weren't courteous. He's over time.
I can tell you this, that we are going to take the votes to protect our young and most vulnerable, our biological females. And I'm asking you tonight to do the same to our young ladies. Thank you.
Rein in the name calling, period. Please.
Thank you for your service. For those new board members, it will get a little easier. Hopefully you won't have all these issues in the near future. So I wanted to thank you for giving us the opportunity of speaking to you tonight. And I want to say that to everyone in this room, I hear you, I see you.
Liar. But do you care?
We have a job. Yes, I do.
Yeah, you're a liar.
The job is to make sure
address the board, not us.
The students are comfortable and safe.
They are.
So, what I can tell you is
They
I
are.
received
Nothing
lots of
happens,
phone
Todd.
calls. You can have the mic later.
Okay. We
Lots
can
of
talk
phone
later.
calls, lots of emails, and lots of visits to my office on what is going on. Whether it's perceived
Lots of dog
or
whistles.
real. Perception is reality.
Alternate
The
facts.
students in this school are concerned. We've heard that there are students that are using a restroom or a locker room that is not assigned to their gender.
They're eating our pets.
We want to sit here and understand that this can't be allowed. I've investigated child sex crimes for a very long period of time.
Against yourself?
That
How many of them were trans?
please, it's called respect.
You lost mine.
So we need to make sure that our children are safe. I can tell you that when we went through COVID, the governor ruled this state under executive order for many years at a time. The President of the United States has issued an executive order. If we follow the governor's executive orders,
Trans rights are human rights.
the President of the United States executive. You have an immensely difficult job,
To follow
and
the
I'm
law.
sure the pay is not very well, if you're paid at all, which I know you're not. Ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you that you've done so many good things. You've got some bathrooms that nobody needs to know of who's going in. You have locker rooms. Why are we telling biological females that if they're uncomfortable in their locker room to go to that locker room? I heard tonight that we are supposed to rule in the majority. And I tell you what, the majority stands with not allowing biological men in biological females. The opportunity of dictating to the majority what we are going to do. And I can tell you, I've represented this region for quite some time, and they stand with making sure that biological males stay out of female restrooms and locker rooms.
Trans rights are human rights.
So I implore you to make sure you look and understand what the executive order is from the President of the United States. Because that
Not political. They're eating our dogs.
Okay, we now have answer.
Lion.
Phyllis is on deck.
I am so happy to go after the
Yes.
senator and state representative because what I've learned is someone needs a civics lesson. I think they could benefit from your classes here at the high school. So let's start with a couple of things. First of all, my name is Ashley McMaher. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm the executive director of Trans Upfront Illinois. I am because I drove 2.5 hours because our organization, which serves trans and gender nonconforming youth and their families for over 9 years, was contacted almost a dozen times to come show support because they feel that they are being attacked. So one of the things I would like to address is the difference between sex and gender.
Thank you.
So sex is the biological part you are born with. If we look at history, there are 3 sexes. One, we have male, we have female, and we have intersex. Intersex is the difference of biological characteristics that exist and has existed in all time. We can go back into ancient Egypt time where they talked about the differences in people's genitalia. And speaking about genitalia, the only people I know of who are obsessed with someone's genitalia is the right wing.
Yes!
That in itself is predatory.
Yes.
Then let's talk about gender. Gender identity is what we identify as. The clothing we wear, the name we use, the way that we navigate life. Our gender is a personal decision of who we are and how we feel best in our skin. And we know from studies that by affirming a child in who they are, they have a better success rate in school, in relationships, and in life. And there are some people who believe that a dead trans child is better than a live one. And to me, that is inexcusable. So now let's talk about executive orders. To quote my favorite state representative, Kelly Cassidy, executive orders are vibes, not laws. So an executive order is a piece of paper, it's not a law. Here in the state of Illinois, under the Illinois Human Rights Act, Section 3B1 states that your discomfort does not supersede our children's right to access. Your discomfort gives you the right to ask for additional accommodations. Just like it's our rights as trans individuals to do our research and our rights, it is your right as a cisgender person, which by the way, that means that you identify as the sex and your gender, they match. To give you a little lesson there, okay? To ask to know what your rights are, and if you aren't doing that research, that's called privilege. Do your research before you come up here. Do your research as you navigate life every day. Read, pay attention to the news. Okay, here in Illinois, we have a sanctuary state, and if this state is not for you, then leave.
Yeah.
Because I stand with trans children, and by the way, since November of this past year, when the Trump election was announced, I know of 19 students in the state of Illinois who have killed themselves. 19, personally, that our organization has served. Do you want that to be your students? Do you want to be having a day in memory because you lost a student? No, we don't. We want to know that every student who walks in your doors, at the end of the day, goes home to their homework, to their family, to their dog, to their best friend, and every day gets the ability to grow up, make friends, whether they're good for them or not. They get to learn, decide if they're going to be doctors or lawyers or artists, who they're going to be when they grow up. Okay? What I'm telling you here today is fact. It is the law. Whether we look at executive orders or not, such as Executive Order 19-11 signed into action to strengthen our trans kids, or we look at the Illinois statutes, or we follow the guidance from the Illinois State Board of Education, we want to continue to follow those laws. So thank you so much to this school board who has been doing those things. I go to a lot of schools that don't, and continue to do that, because every day we want every child, regardless of their biological sex or gender identity, again, two different things, to have an incredible experience within your school. Leave as an alumni, tell stories of their time together here, and grow up to be productive and loved members of society. Thank you.
You know what, we're on deck.
Hello. Oh, this is awful lighting. Thank you for the time today. My name is Phyllis Galasat. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the executive director of the Liam Foundation. We're an organization that's dedicated to supporting LGBTQ community in the State Line area. The organization is named after my son Liam, who died by suicide in his senior year of high school just a couple weeks before his graduation. I'm here tonight to speak in firm support of the transgender inclusive policies at Hononegah High School. These policies aren't about politics, they're about protecting students. They're about ensuring that every child, regardless of gender identity, feels safe, respected, and supported in the place where they spend much of the time of their lives. I'm thankful that for the last 6 years, these policies have worked well and without incident. I urge you to remember that public schools serve all students as you took your oath tonight. I believe that was in there. All students, that includes people of different faiths, identities, and backgrounds. Protecting trans students is not an act of exclusion, it's an act of inclusion and humanity. At the Liam Foundation, we hear from youth every day who are struggling. Some with fear, some with rejection, and too many with mental health challenges directly tied to the lack of support and acceptance. These students aren't abstract issues, they're your neighbor's kids, they're your nieces and nephews, they're your cousins, they're people that you've probably met that you may not even realize are trans. Affirming policies save lives. They don't threaten values, they reflect them: dignity, compassion, and equity. Hononegah has an opportunity to lead and to show all students that they matter and that their school sees them for who they are. I urge you to stand on the side of inclusion, safety, and love. And for any LGBT people and their loved ones who is in need of support, advocacy, or community, please contact the Liam Foundation. We're here to help.
Noah? Rita Kaminsky's on deck.
Good evening. My name is Noah Reeder, and I come to you tonight with perspective as a Christian, non-trans senior who has attended this school for 4 years. And I hope you do not regard my worries in vain as a byproduct of my age. I wanted to speak tonight about the worries of the transgender population at our school, allegedly posing a threat to my fellow students in the locker rooms, as well as in the restrooms. From the time I have attended this school, I can assure you that not once have I ever observed or been alerted of a single sexual assault violation that has occurred by hand of a transgender person in the bathrooms or locker rooms. Rather, I have witnessed and heard of many sexual assault cases that have come from our non-trans student body, which I deem is quite ironic, since one may assume the pandemonium which may transpire if said act were committed by a trans student. These issues that some deem at the time are actively stressing the student body as these protests occur. Virtually none of us in the student body are at all concerned with these issues presented, and the uproar caused by the discourse in our district actively disrupt our academic experience as well as extracurricular. For instance, 70 students of this school planned their Wednesday night, so I'm having band rehearsal tonight, which was canceled due to this meeting being moved to the PAC for safety issues affecting our extracurricular activities. We do not want this discourse, we want our education. The transgender students do not want to cause issues here. They want their education. These transgender students, which some chastise with such assuming scrutiny, these people are our friends. And although some may not agree with them or even condemn the lives that they've chosen to live, I at least encourage those people to find it in their heart of hearts to remember what it was like to try embedding their identity in the world at that age, even if it had nothing to do with their gender. And as for the people using their Christianity as a reason for attacking this issue, I remind you as a fellow believer to remember the commandment, do not use the Lord's name in vain. In other words, do not claim divine motivation for your own issues. That being said, I ask the leaders of the administration to reject the voices advocating for discrimination against our beloved trans students. Thank you.
Well done.
Hello, my name is Rita and I'm from Roscoe. Thank you to the school board, the faculty, the students, the parents, and my fellow community members for being here tonight and for giving your time and attention to this important conversation. Even though we may not all agree on every issue, I truly believe we are all here because we care about the well-being of our students. And we want to create a community where every child feels safe, supported, and seen. I'm here tonight to say thank you. Thank you to the board for upholding the Illinois state law and honoring the Illinois Human Rights Act from 2019. Thank you for providing unisex restrooms and private changing stalls. Thank you for supervising locker rooms and removing the requirement for students to wear PE uniforms. Thank you for offering alternative spaces for students who feel uncomfortable. Thank you for creating a space where transgender students are treated with dignity during what is already a vulnerable and formative time in their lives. As someone who is part of the queer community and knows many LGBTQ adults, I can tell you that nearly all of them carry memories of rejection, bullying, or isolation from their youth. These are not easy years for these kids, and today's climate, it's become even harder. And now, over 850 anti-trans bills have been introduced just this year, sending a dangerous message to young people that they don't belong. So thank you for not being a part of that message. Thank you for understanding that transgender people are not mentally ill. Every major accredited medical and mental health organization agrees being transgender is not a disorder. What harms trans people, what leads to depression and suicide, is rejection, isolation, and violence from the world around them. Thank you for understanding that gender diversity is not new. It has existed in cultures across the world for centuries. And thank you for honoring our American values, values like liberty, freedom of expression, and understanding that we can live together with dignity, even when we don't see all the world the same way. And thank you for hearing this. According to the Bureau of Justice Statistics, the vast majority of sexual assaults are committed by cisgender men. While 1 in 5 women report to have been assaulted, nearly half of transgender people report the same. If we're honest, most people in this room know a woman who has been assaulted by a cisgender man. And very few, if any, know someone who has been harmed by a transgender person. Right now, a small but loud group is pushing a narrative that's allowing transgender kids to exist, to change clothes in peace, is somehow a danger. And it's not. It isn't about safety, it's about fear. It's about control. And it's about targeting some of the most valuable young people in our schools under the guise of protection. So when we talk about safety, I ask us to please be honest and look at the facts and not the fear. There are people in our community who are scared, and I don't blame them. Fear is powerful, but fear shouldn't guide policy. Compassion, truth, and understanding should. This is not a crisis, it is a manufactured one. So tonight I'm asking the board, this school, and this community to keep leading with compassion, to make room for every student, and to take the time to learn about those whose lives may look different from your own, and to show that we are a community that values every student's right to be treated with dignity and respect. There is a petition available tonight for those who support Hononegah's current inclusive policies. If you feel moved to, please consider signing after the meeting. Let's choose facts over fear. Let's choose truth over rhetoric. Let's be a community that is louder in love than they are in hate.
Amen. Amen.
We're going to have Shelley Bryan come up and speak, and then we're going to take a break and do the business meeting. We'll come back and then finish anybody that hasn't had a chance to speak. So Shelley, you're up.
Hi, my name is Shelley Bryan. I'm a resident of Rockton, and I am the mother of a 15-year-old freshman here at Hononegah. I can't speak on stats, laws, things of that nature, but I can tell you what goes through her mind. I'm sorry. I also have pneumonia and heart surgery. So that would tell you how important I felt it was for me to be here tonight to speak on this. My daughter does identify as bisexual. She has direct experience with a transgender student changing in the locker room with her. For those who are not aware, no student at any time removes their clothing to the point that they are completely naked. At most, a student removes their tops and bottoms to the point they are in a bra and underwear. This is akin to the student wearing a two-piece bathing suit. My daughter has never been uncomfortable at any time. Her exact comment was, "Mom, nobody's looking at all that. We are just trying to get through the day." Her thoughts, feelings, opinions, and experiences are valid. They speak directly to this issue, and they matter. She matters. Right before I came tonight, I was watching the 6 p.m. news, and they had a piece on this meeting. The representative Cabello stated that we are simply asking that those who are born as biological males change with the boys in the male locker room. It's no big deal. Well, to that I would say, Representative, our teens are already at risk for suicide. If even one commits suicide, that is one too many. But our LGBTQ plus children are even at a greater risk. Hence, as was already stated, why the William Foundation even exists. I don't see that as no big deal. I was incensed by this statement. I'm sorry, but I fail to see how the mental health of our youth is not a big deal. According to my daughter, anyone who is uncomfortable while changing in the locker rooms already just changes in the bathroom stalls. I don't see how asking the students to keep doing what they are already doing is that big of a deal. I feel it is a sad state of affairs when our students are better at figuring this out than us adults. I would like to thank the Hononegah School Board and administration for already protecting these rights, and I would urge you to continue doing so. I would also like to take a moment to remind any young person that if your mental health is suffering, please reach out to a trusted adult that you feel safe with. Go to the ER, dial 988 for the crisis line, or as was also stated by Phyllis, reach out to the Liam Foundation located at 1005 Fifth Avenue in Rockford, or you can find them on Facebook where their number is also included. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to jump now back to the agenda and do our business meeting. As soon as that's done, we'll go back and we'll start with Anna, who will be the first speaker, and we'll go right through the list again. So if you have signed up and you haven't had a chance to speak yet, you will. Okay?
Are we still able to sign up?
Next item, action on closed session agenda. And I have.
I'm gonna stay. I can go check on the kids or whatever.
I want to. She wants to go. I need to go.
Okay, can I have a motion to accept the resignations, grant the recommendation, or approve the recommendations for employment of certified supported substitutes, approve the recommendation for employment for athletics activities, approve the volunteers, and approve the requests for different scheduling as set forth on the closed session agenda?
So moved.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Okay. All right. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Yeah, they said they weren't doing any policy.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, that takes us on to district reports. We'll start as usual. Michaela, you still here? All right, let's get her a microphone. Michaela, our student council representative.
Alright, student council held all council meeting on the 4th of April to discuss elections for the upcoming school year 24. We also carried out a school trip on April 8th, which I thought was a huge success. Soared to the freshman career fair. Keep on Pitch collecting volunteer hours for seniors before the end of the year, as well as hosted elections. Keep on meeting on April 15th, and we discussed elections for next year and have a yearly breakfast. And I'm also excited to announce we're doing Powerpuff for prom, so sign up. We're excited. That's all.
All right, any questions from Michaela? Michaela, thank you. You're excused. Athletic director's report. Mr. Walters.
Yes, I will spare you the sports-specific updates tonight, but you do have it in your packet. So do want to mention a couple things, however, celebrating robotics aces and math. We sent them off with a state walk, the Walk of Champions this week. That was awesome. And then also sent them off, robotics off in a police escort to Houston to the World Championship. So great things happening within the activities here at Hononegah High School. A couple notes from the Booster Club. Yes. A couple notes from the Booster Club. They continue to plan fundraising events for this summer. We will host a golf outing on July 18th at the Ledges. So anybody interested in that, please save the date and attend to that. Other items of note, last Sunday attended the IHSA Academic All-State Banquet with Kirk Smith, who was one of 26 individuals who made Academic All-State, and we honored him at last board meeting. The IHSA put on a phenomenal banquet, and Kurt at that banquet received a $1,000 scholarship from the IHSA Activities Fund. So a great night. Yes, next Sunday, not this coming, sorry, the following Sunday, we will also be honoring all of our wrestlers at the IWCOA banquet, where we have Wrestler of the Year, Scholastic Wrestler of the Year, Coach of the Year, Administrator of the Year. So that concludes my report for this evening.
Questions for Andrew? All right, building administration report. Mr. Doherty and Mrs. Eckman.
We'll call April Future Ready Month. We kicked off the month with a very successful career fair on April 3rd. And then on April 9th, we had our first ever college fair here at Hononegah, in which 15 university and colleges were present. As we talked about earlier, we had our state assessment that also occurred on the 8th and 9th.
Notification as a result of the technical issue that's included in your update, as well as information about the upcoming graduation for board members and our senior families. We're excited about the commencement to take place on May 24th. If you've got any questions about our report, don't hesitate to ask.
Any questions for Chad again? Thank you. That takes us on to the finance director's report. Justin?
I will keep this quick here. The 24-25 amended budget hearing is scheduled for June 18th. The amended budget will be displayed in this office for 30 days. Just follow up from last month, the April 2025 CPP distribution must continue to be down 46%, so that will increase our anticipated revenue. And I will be working on the budget next month, and then after that, I will be working on drafting the budget for 25-26. That's my report.
Okay. Any questions for Justin? All right. District report. Mike McKenna.
Open positions of significance. We have a Dean of Students opening. We're going to have 5 paraprofessional openings for 25-26 school year. We have an administrative assistant for building operations position and head girls wrestling coach positions open. We just conducted a life insurance audit. We're going to be switching from Ally to Direct Bill with Sun Life. We are collaborating with Building and Grounds Department to organize for summer work and hire substitutes for summer coverage. Northern Illinois Small District Conference is coming up next Friday. We have over 130 sessions, over 680 registrants. The theme this year is Hall of Fame. We're going to be having a market during lunch with vendors selling crafts and treats. And I will prepare a slideshow for next month. And then we are supporting the Women in Educational Leadership Summit, and that's a collaboration with multiple districts. The keynote speaker is going to be Heather Baker, an administrator from Winnebago.
And that concludes my report.
Today we talked about the track resurfacing. You'll see the change order that's on the sheet. That again is just going to be as an extra to our project, but we think it's a nice way to finish off Kelsey Field. We finally, after much deliberation, found out our layout for the Kelsey Field playing surface. I thank the board for all their input on that. We discussed ground stabilization and the final changes before the turf installation today, and again, appreciate that information. One thing that Justin didn't bring up, we're very happy with the tax rate reduction that we're forecasting. It's another major reduction as bonds come off and as we are being as responsible as we can with the taxpayers' money. We also have some other budget reductions that we have brainstormed that we'll be talking about over the next couple of years as the state forecasts some lean years in the near future. For a strategic plan, again, I want to thank Kathy so much for everything she did for ACT testing and all of the kids being very patient. We were within 5 to 7 minutes of canceling, so I wasn't worried at all. Textbook list you'll see up on the agenda. I had a donation for the fuel software that we're using for CTE, is also on consent. And polar heart straps, and that'd be great. I'm very excited about this. We're purchasing more of those. That's pretty exciting. For facilities, we have the amended budget, which is today, and we're also renewing our registration fees, which we're keeping the same. I think we've kept them the same for at least 10 years. Yeah. Student experience, we got some overnight trips. HSA membership renewal, coaches and after-hours handbook approval. For partnership, we're working with the nations for the garbage contract. It's going to be coming up, and all the hard work that's come together for the small district conference. I want to thank Kendra and all the feeder superintendents for working on that. For safe learning environment, we've got the Raptor license renewal that will be also be coming into one of the action items. And that's my report.
Questions from Mike or Kendra? Okay, we'll move on to committee reports. We'll go right down the line. Let me tell the board I have not had a chance to do anything with the committees or send out any committee requests, so we'll reorganize those at a meeting in the future. Okay, so right now we've got building and grounds. Bob?
We had a building and grounds committee meeting on the 19th, and there's 2 items for action on tonight's agenda.
Co-curricular, Evan? Education, Gail?
Nothing new to report.
Josh is gone, so let's see. Finance, Eric?
Yes, we had a finance meeting tonight at 5:30 where we discussed the amended budget.
Policy and personnel, Mary?
Nothing to report this time. It's like I have a
Student handbook will be referred to. And legislative, of course, everybody knows that the first reading of the Native American mascot outlawing bill has passed the House and is waiting for action in the Senate. Okay, new business. We don't have any unfinished business. New business. First reading of the student handbook. It is information only. That will be referred to policy and personnel to Mary. If you have any questions or comments, address those to her. Second reading on the textbook list. It was previously put in the board folders. Can I have a motion to approve the textbook list as presented by the administration? Any discussion? Roll call?
Gail?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Bob? Eric?
Yes.
Mary? Yes. Evan?
The next item is the second reading of the after-hours handbook. Co-curriculum committee reviewed the after-hours handbook. Andrew gave a report tonight on that, as well as the coach's handbook. The motion is to approve the after-hours handbook as recommended by the co-curricular committee.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That's approved. Second reading of the coach's handbook, as I mentioned before, that was discussed at the committee meeting this evening by Andrew. I need a motion to approve the coach's handbook as recommended by the co-curricular committee. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That's approved. Action on overnight student trips. We've got just one, the ACES state competition, April 16th and 17th. Motion to approve the overnight student trips as represented by the administration.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Eric.
Yes.
Dale.
Yes.
Larry. Dave.
Yes.
Evan.
Okay, next is the change order that Mike just mentioned about the track at Kelsey Stadium. Change order number 1 with Vernon Jones in the amount of $80,000. That was discussed at the joint meeting this evening. Can I have a motion to approve the Kelsey Stadium change order number 1 with Vernon Jones in the amount of $80,000? Any discussion? Roll call?
Dave.
Yes.
Eric.
Yes.
Dale.
Yes.
Mary. Evan. Bob.
As our finance director reported, we need to set an amended budget hearing for the FY25 amended budget that was discussed this evening. Can I have a motion to approve setting the fiscal year 25 amended budget hearing for June 18th, 2025 at 7 p.m.
So moved.
And it will be placed on display in the office for 30 days. Okay, any other comments? Roll call.
Evan. Yes. Eric.
Yes.
Bob. Dale.
Yes.
Dave.
Yes.
Mary.
Okay, now the registration fees that Mike mentioned for the 25-26 school year, they will remain the same as in the 24-25 school year. Can I have a motion to approve the 2025-2026 school year registration fees?
So moved.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Evan.
Yes.
Mary. Yes. Dave.
Yes.
Dale.
Yes.
Bob. Eric.
Yes.
And then we need action to approve the five-year parent square agreement in the amount of $57,750 that was discussed at the joint meeting tonight. The annual rate is March 19th, I'm sorry. March 19th, the joint buildings and grounds and finance committee meeting. Annual rate is $10,650 and a one-time upfront cost of $4,500. So can I have a motion to approve the 5-year parent square agreement in the amount of $57,750? Any discussion? Roll call?
Eric.
Yes.
Bob. Dale.
Yes.
Dave.
Yes.
Mary. Evan.
Okay, that's the end of the business meeting. Now we're going to go back to public comment, and would it be okay if I gave the board 5 minutes to walk around? Because we've been sitting there for a long time.
Yes.
Anna, if you're still here, you're up first. Yeah, no, she brought it up. Yeah. Walk around.
No worries. No worries. They're taking a 5-minute break and then they're going to open back up for the things. Oh, yeah.
I will go alert the.
Yes. Yeah. I heard the support meeting and I thanked him for coming and I told him that everything he said is right. I said that to him and the other one, this power guy. I was like,
I listened to It's Okay to Punch Now on my way over here.
If he wants to, they took down the redlining thing. You have to sign up for it. They took it down, but they first put it back up. So if he wants to, he might want to cut it. Okay. You're not going to let him use it. That speaker. Oh, you don't want him to use it? Please, you are.
Wait, I have no
like, is it really cool?
And it seems like they didn't say that they could. They said that they used, like they still took your kids. Yeah. But probably love for us
I don't mind. Okay, continue. Good, we can do that. Where are you going? Okay. Okay, go home. Leave. Leave. We'll hold down the fort while you're gone. Just leave me a water bottle. Sorry.
I don't know if we're going to do that.
All right, we'll go, we're going to start up again. We're going to follow the same exact procedure. Everybody's been very, very cordial tonight. Let's keep that up, and I'll go right down the line as they exist. We'll start with Anna Wall. And is it Berlin? You're on there.
My name is Anna Wall. I'm a parent of a Hononegah graduate a couple years ago. I have two other children, but I chose to pull them out and homeschool them because of certain things that we had been told were happening at Hononegah, so I'll leave it at that. But I appreciate you being here tonight listening to us. I'm here to speak on behalf of my friend, who is also a mom of a current student at Hononegah. I'm sharing because of this mom's concern of the backlash that may come to her student or her child after bringing this to your attention. Tonight,
This is from my friend. This is what she shared with me. Tonight we will take our place as uncomfortable Christians. We will stand for what is right, no matter what comes, while protecting the identity of our children. All human beings, male and female, are created in the image of God. Each is a beloved spirit, son or daughter of heavenly parents, and as such, each have a divine nature and destiny. Gender is an essential characteristic of individual, premortal, mortal, and eternal identity and purpose. In the premortal realm, spirits, sons and daughters, knew and worshiped God as the eternal Father and accepted his plan by which his children could obtain a physical body and gain earthly experience to progress towards perfection and ultimately realize their divine destiny as heirs of eternal life. The divine plan of happiness enables family relationships to be perpetuated beyond the grave. Husband and wives have a solemn responsibility to love and care for each other and for their children. Psalms 127:3, children are heritage of the Lord. Parents have a sacred duty to rear their children in love and righteousness, to provide for their physical and spiritual needs, and to teach them to love and serve one another, observe the commandments of God, and be law-abiding citizens wherever they live. Husbands and wives, mothers and fathers will be held accountable before God for the discharge of these obligations. We don't mind standing here this week as we observe one of the holiest acts that has ever commenced, the atonement, crucifixion, and resurrection of God's only begotten Son, Jesus Christ. Our Savior, Jesus Christ, walked alone, but because of him, we will never be alone. Because of him, we have the strength to tell you this is wrong. Anyone who is contributing to this madness will be held accountable before our Father in heaven. But who shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me? It were better for him that a milestone were hanged around his neck, and that they were drowned in the depths of the sea. We are here on behalf of our children to stand between you and them. We have no hesitation. We will not back down. Once again, you're advocating for the harm of our children and hiding behind the power-drunk governor. Trump's executive order was put into effect, therefore federal law supersedes state law. You have completely disregarded it. You are saying you are following a human rights act, but you have decided to forcibly strip our biological females and biological males of their basic human rights. Our children should never be in the same bathroom or locker room with the biological opposite sex. These children weren't notified, parents weren't notified, and no accommodations were provided for our students that were against this. Our children have deeply held religious beliefs that you have 100% disrespected and violated, which violates their constitutional rights. Let me ask the board members, when you were a teenager, was the opposite sex allowed in your spaces while you changed a bra, changed into your gym clothes? The answer is probably no. No one of you had ever been in these girl situations, but seem to have no issue with giving away their rights. It is appalling and disgraceful. What you are a party to is sexual abuse of a minor. Under no situation should a child be in the same locker room or bathroom with the opposite sex. Adults facilitating such situations should be held in a court of law for forcing teachers to go along with this and other students. The UK just ruled by their Supreme Court that trans women are not women. You see gentlemen who will never move there. You will never carry a baby. You will never feel them move within your womb. You will never push life out of your body and partner with God in this way. We are the mothers, we are life givers, we are the light bringers today, and we are done with retreat and we
Hello, my name is Berlin Wadman. I'm a senior here at Hononegah High School, and I would like to urge the board to uphold the Illinois law that allows transgender individuals to use the bathroom that aligns with their identities. individuals within and outside of Hononegah High School, and not one of them has ever expressed any desire to use their access to their preferred locker room or bathroom to prey on other students. The transgender individuals in my life, the trans women especially, have been some of the kindest, most respectful people I've ever met, and the way they've been villainized is disgusting. Transgender students are not a danger. They belong here at Hononegah High School just as much as anyone else. I would like to thank the school for being such a supportive place. As a transgender man, I feel supported by the staff here, and I appreciate the understanding and accommodations that I and other transgender students have been offered here. I hope you continue to stand with your community of transgender students because we want to have a place at this school. The transgender students at Hononegah High School are here for the same reason all students are. We are teenagers in a high school. There's nothing predatory about it. We are here and we belong in these spaces as much as anyone else. Thank you.
I just want to first of all say thank you, Mr. Doherty. I think you're doing a really great job. I appreciate everything that you've done for my child in the last 3 years. My name is Alicia Garcia Regaler. A little about me. I was the only not white, I'm a Mexican indigenous person that was on the Talcott Library Board, and a parent to this wonderful human. This is my child. They are a junior and an EP student at Hononegah. My child was actually in those slides because they take French and Spanish. They speak 5 languages, Spanish, French and English. They're very involved in school, participating in Model UN, MCMU, which is the Multicultural Student Union. They're in the Athletic Leadership Committee and has been a member of Student Council all 4 years. They did go to the France trip last year. That was wonderful, and I really love that the school is doing that, and they are going to Costa Rica this year. My child is a non-binary queer Latina, Muche. That is what we call it, where my family is from. They participate in soccer and golf, and for the parents whose children are not super involved with sports, most of the time they don't use the locker room like that with sports. They change into the individual stalls, use the bathroom, and then go on the bus. I would first encourage the board to continue doing what they're doing and their commitment to enforcing the Illinois Human Rights Act and protecting all of our students, and support the faculty and our principals for all they've done with my child, who does have accommodations. We're just here to say, hear from the students, which we have heard, that actually happens, not speculation of things that may happen or have, my child used to go here, or whatever experience they had before. But we need to listen to the children that are actually being impacted. And if you don't have a good enough relationship with your child, so that you feel comfortable or safe with a student or you to speak out about anything, and then for you to advocate for your child to the administration, then there's a disconnect between you and your child. Yes. Are there any statistics that the school has that any trans, non-binary, or member of the LGBT community has done anything to another student? When it has taken away opportunities and accessibilities for those few ever done anything productive? When has that happened? I'm sorry, but there are very few minorities here to be able to speak to that. Yes. And as a highly educated person, I need to advocate for that. I have always told my child they need to work twice as hard as their white friends. And unfortunately, that's true. Yep. You can say, oh my God, but... So, I'm not talking to you guys. Living in this village, I can attest to people attacking me
based off of their perceptions of what they think my personal beliefs are with the library board, without ever having a conversation with me. We are no longer a tiny community from 10 to 15 years ago. This village is growing, and with growth comes exceptions. If we cannot do that and come together as a community to see eye to eye instead of your misconceptions of what other people are, it seems that this hot topic is a distraction from things that actually matter to the children of the school. Since we've been in the school, there's been a very great handling of things, these issues need to be kept within the administration, not the board. This is a slippery slope because this is the age at which students should be able to explore who they are and grow safely and have the right to their bodily autonomy and privacy. We want to protect and advocate for children, and that's all children, not just your children. We are one Hononegah. Thank you.
Nat Naruse on deck.
Good evening. My name is Chuck, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you guys. I come from a place of compassion and desire to find solutions that work for all students, including transgender youth. I understand the importance of ensuring that students feel safe and respected, both in their identity and their physical spaces. However, when it comes to issues like locker room access, there is a balance required between inclusivity and safety. While gender identity is central to the lives of transgender individuals, I also recognize that biological differences may play a significant role in certain spaces like locker rooms, where privacy and comfort are key concerns of many students. That being said, that seems to be exactly what you guys have been doing. Maintaining neutral changing spaces and private stalls helps all students. Certainly a solution I would have appreciated as a former student of Hononegah. It allows students to change in a space that reflects their gender identity while still providing privacy. It's important that we maintain a system that doesn't infringe on anyone's rights or safety. Ultimately, the goal should be for every student, regardless of their gender identity, to feel comfortable and respected in school environments. And I hope that you guys continue to use the solutions and accommodations for all students that fosters respect and maintains a sense of safety for everyone involved. And I wanted to thank you guys for continuing to protect all students. Thank you.
Mexi is on deck.
Hi, my name is Nathaniel Naruse. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I just wanted to express myself as someone who is trans and feels very strongly for everybody in my trans community, whom I love so dearly. There is something so beautiful about our differences, not just within the LGBTQ plus community, but the differences of everyone in general. And I think the world is so much more amazing when we are all free to express ourselves as we are without fear, especially in school when we're just trying to learn and grow and enjoy our youth too, like anyone else in the case of us trans individuals. When I was still in high school, I didn't really know too many other people like myself, but the few of us who were there really needed to stick together because it was pretty lonely otherwise and quite scary to see and hear some of the ways others acted and spoke towards us. I say with complete truth and sincerity that we are not here to harm anyone or push anything onto others. We are just trying to be ourselves and feel comfortable in our own skin, which, as we all know and some have said, is already tough enough during the high school years. Please be there for them, for the younger people in my community that I want nothing but the best for. This extends beyond school walls, and any support at all can be completely life-changing for those who need it, especially these days. Thank you.
Hello. Some of you may have known me from, interacting and whatnot, but good evening, members of the board. My name is Mexi Schreiber. I'm a parent of a senior currently attending Hononegah. also a parent of another daughter who went through Hononegah as well. And I have 2 younger children who will also be entering the same school in the coming years. I'm here tonight to express a serious concern about the current policy allowing transgender students, specifically biological males who identify as female, to use the girls' locker rooms. Let me be clear, this is not about denying anyone's dignity or identity. Every student deserves to feel respected and safe, but that safety and respect must extend to all students, including the girls who feel uncomfortable or vulnerable undressing in front of someone who is biological male. Locker rooms are private spaces. My daughters should not be put in positions where their privacy is compromised or where they feel anxious or exposed. This isn't about hate or exclusion.
What was that?
It's not. It's not about hate or exclusion. It really is not. And I'm speaking based on the fact that my
Speak
father...
to them! Speak to them! Speak to them!
...is a transgender person.
Okay.
That's who I grew up with. It has nothing to do with that. It's to do with the fact that girls are being placed in a place where it's vulnerability. They're changing. They're
in a stall.
putting themselves in a place where they don't want to be exposed just to anybody. Locker rooms are private spaces. My daughter should not be put in this position where their privacy is compromised or where they feel anxious or exposed. This isn't about hate or exclusion. It's about boundaries, common sense, and protecting our kids' rights to dignity and safety in an already sensitive environment. I urge the board to consider alternate accommodations such as single-stall changing areas or designated private spaces for any student who feels they don't fit into the traditional male-female locker room.
They already do.
This would provide a respectful solution for everyone involved without sacrificing anyone's privacy. As a parent, I simply ask that all of our children's rights be respected equally, and that we don't allow ideology to outweigh basic safeguards.
Probably. Has she been here all night?
On top of that, I would like to add, it's not hate when people are already uncomfortable with their bodies, and having men that turn into girls in there wouldn't help. That was a message sent to me by a girl. It's not that girls are ashamed to talk to principals. It's that they aren't comfortable bringing up this subject, which will likely push them out of their comfort zones. It's not political. It's about young ladies having their privacy abused. As a mother and a woman, I can tell you that changing as a young lady at a high school, changing in front of a boy would be invasion of my privacy. As a mother of young women, I would definitely not want them to be put in that position. Thank you for your time and for listening to the concerns of the families you serve.
I apologize for my shakiness. I have very severe social anxiety, and I really don't want to speak in front of a crowd. But things have gotten so devastating for the transgender community that I feel I need to speak up. So, this is a letter to Senator Chesney and Representative Cabello. To start, one of your emails sent out about this meeting specifically states that your reason for being here is to reverse a shocking policy allowing a biological male to use a girl's locker room. Now let me ask you a question. How would you feel if I walked into the girls' locker room? If you cannot see, I have facial hair. I'm very masculine presenting, but I was born female. What you are presenting here today would make it so I would have to use the girls' locker room. So, do you see how, if you succeed, and the policy that protects a transgender person's right to choose actually gets reserved, any cisgendered man can claim to be trans and come into any woman's locker room or bathroom. Not to mention that transgender people are 4 times more likely to be victims than aggressors. 4 times. But anyway, do you see how your solution doesn't work? But I bet you already knew that. This was never about protecting women or whatever label you use to justify what you're doing. This is bigotry. This is hatred. And you know it. As we make up less than 1% of the population, I bet that you, Senator Chesney, and you, Representative Cabello, and a very large majority, if not all, of those against trans rights haven't ever even gotten to know a trans person. Because if they had, they would know that we're just people. We just want rights. And we just want to exist. Going to high school here was anything but easy. For the past 4 years, I've avoided drinking any water before and during school so I could avoid the bathroom as much as possible because I was afraid. I moved my lunch to be my last hour so I could go home to eat because I was afraid. But the thing is, I couldn't hold it every day because I'm human. And being able to choose what bathroom or locker room to use is a right everyone should have. Please don't take this away from students, please. But the thing is, I'm a senior now, and I'm graduating in 1 month. I'm not speaking here right now for me. I've already been through the hardest time in my life. I've survived the unacceptance here. I'm speaking for all of the transgender students who will be here in the future, terrified, exhausted, and possibly thirsty and starving, because this is the world we live in. And it's headed in a direction that will somehow be much worse for them than it was for me, and I barely made it out. So please, please listen to me. We're just people. We just want to use the bathroom in the locker room of our choosing. We just want rights. We just want to exist.
You're doing awesome.
You're doing awesome.
We're glad you're here.
Thank you. Thank you to my school board for allowing me to be here and speak. And thank you to everyone who has listened. Understanding saves lives.
1 minute.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ginger Carter. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak tonight. I just wanted to share that I have lived in the Roscoe community for a good portion of my life, and actually just recently moved further into Roscoe to allow my 3 kids to come to Hononegah School District. They were previously at a private school, and due to financial reasons, we made the switch, and they're at a public school that we were in Roscoe, but it was not Hononegah. But I was so grateful when a home opened up that we moved into Roscoe to be in this district. So as a concerned parent, I come to you tonight to ask that you please appeal what's been presented to you. I have 3 kids, 14, 12, and 7, and they are everything to me and my husband. They mean more to me than life itself. And it is my due diligence as their mom to stand up for what is right. And what I ask you guys to consider is our kids, the future. The future that I'm sure many of you have kids, many of you have grandkids, and that's the direction our world is headed, is what's about them. We are not opposed to transgender students. The Bible clearly says to love all people. And I know that we haven't done a good job, and I say sorry on behalf of many of us that have misrepresented that. But I do know that the Bible clearly states to love all of mankind, which includes everybody in this room, regardless of your sex, gender, whatever you want to call it. But I will say that it would be wrong if we didn't do what we could to uphold moral standards in every school.
Protect trans kids.
We have to protect all kids. It's not just about one type or one specific thing, but I will say as a mom of 2 girls, my daughter's about to enter her freshman year at Hononegah come the fall. And the thought of her being scared to use the bathroom or the locker room to change for sports or for anything worries me, and it should worry all of you. What I ask is that you consider that they just use an alternative. It is not asking for much. As we've heard tonight repeatedly, they are the minority. So what we have to do is preserve what is standard here. And I just ask that you consider what that looks like for this school and for the future of the school. Once you open yourself up to everything, you stand for nothing. So you have to ask yourself, is this the only opportunity that we're going to have? No. Someone even mentioned prior to me that this is a slippery slope. Yes. And it is. It is a slippery slope. Once we open ourselves up to this, what's the end? So I ask you strongly to consider our kids, my kids, the reason I moved to this district, which now makes me worry, maybe I shouldn't have.
You can leave. Actually, go back where you came from. If you want to enforce general laws, you shouldn't be here.
Respectful, please.
There is no hate in my tone. There's no hatred towards any person. It is just asking that you guys please stand for what is morally right and just use another option. Consider what my current kids' school do is just a providing, which it sounds like you guys have. I'm unfamiliar, but I do think you guys have an option for these students that is just a separate bathroom, and I just ask that you continue to do that. They don't need to be in the same restroom. They don't need to be in the same locker room for exposure's sake. My daughter should never change in front of somebody else for the sake of inclusive. And my job and what I do on a day-to-day basis is in HR. I do represent DEI. I'm a big supporter of inclusiveness. You can laugh at that, that is fine. But I'm speaking to these people out here that I do care about people's inclusiveness. But I also know the balance of inclusive and crossing the line. And this unfortunately has crossed the line. And as a parent and a member of the Rockton community, I will not stand for it. And I ask you please to do the same. Thank you so much.
Graduate mark on deck.
Hello, my name is Leah Gima. I live in Rockford. I have never experienced gender dysphoria myself, and for that reason it is important for me to listen to trans and non-binary people and believe their experiences, not to assume that I know better than they do what is best for them. Back in the 80s and 90s, I went through something similar to this as a member of the gay and lesbian community. There were people who were not comfortable with us, who wished we would just be quiet, disappear, or at least turn straight. We weren't comfortable with them either. But we didn't shut up, and we didn't disappear, and somehow things calmed down a little, and we learned to trust each other a lot more. I'm here to assure you, it can get better. Things will get less uncomfortable, less awkward, less cringy and contentious when we listen to trans youth, believe their stories, and trust that they know what's going on in their own hearts, minds, and bodies. Thank you.
Graduate mark on deck, Reverend Lucasen.
Hello, my name is Bradley Mark, and I represent District 4 of the Winnebago County Board. My constituents asked me to say a few words tonight, so I will do that mixed in with a couple of my own. Some of their comments were, why is 0.6% of the population ruling 99.4% of it? Why are there feminine napkins and tampons in the boys' bathroom? Boys don't use them. The IHSA is taking the same action, allowing transgenders to compete against boys and girls. What's next? When the federal funding is stopped in the state of Illinois, look in the mirror. We only have ourselves to blame. Now, these are a couple of my comments. As I sat out here tonight, I am sick and tired of hearing that I hate. I don't hate people.
Too bad.
Mr. Whitmark, please direct your comments to the board.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm sick and tired of hearing that I hate people. I'm sick and tired of hearing I don't care about suicide. I had suicide in my own family. I'm not a bigot. So quit telling me what I am.
Suicide in my own.
Instead of pushing this trans agenda, let's bring God back into the schools.
Let's not. Separation of church and state.
Done? Oh, sorry, done. The last thing I have to say in this insanity that we're calling
Are you done?
the school system right now, go Indians, because I won't be able to say that much longer.
Oh my God, see? Prove your point. Thank God Carolyn's coming up to follow that one. Get it, girl. I'm not.
Good evening. I am Reverend Carolyn Lukasik. It is my privilege to serve as the pastor at Rockton United Methodist Church. As a resident of Rockton and a leader of a local faith community, I want to affirm that everyone here, I do believe that everyone here cares deeply about the safety of our children. If we can't agree on anything else, I hope that we can recognize that. I also respect the separation of church and state, and I believe strongly no religion should be dictating public policy. We all have our rights to our religious beliefs, or none. We don't have the rights to impose our beliefs on others. And it helps us to remember that. Every child deserves to feel safe at school. Every child, no matter their race, religion, or lack of, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, intelligence, neurodiversity, physical abilities, sexual orientation, or gender identity. Every child and young adult deserves to feel safe at school. I appreciate this school board, and I want to encourage you to continue to listen to community input, to hear concerns from all of the various perspectives. I only wish that the public could be as willing to listen to the students, their experiences, their concerns. They've been speaking up tonight, and it's sad to me that I don't think that they're being heard. Mm-hmm. I want to encourage you as a board to help educate not only our children, but all of our residents when it comes to the important work of maintaining the current environment where every student, especially our vulnerable LGBTQIA and non-binary students, can feel safe and supported at school. Thank you.
Thanks to Daphne. I'm Jessica Stobar.
I'm a resident of this district, the parent of 2 graduates. I also, full disclosure, I teach history at Hononegah and advise our Student Genders and Sexualities Alliance. Some hateful politicians express an incorrect idea that needs exposure as a lie, and that's influencing some of this discussion tonight. Some people are incorrectly promoting the idea that, quote, there are only 2 genders, that the world includes only humans born either entirely a boy or completely a girl. It is important that we acknowledge the very real and documented evidence of intersex humans. There are intersex people born with the physical genitalia of both males and females. We have students at Hononegah born with natural red hair. Some teachers and staff also have red hair. I mention this because the percentage of humans born intersex just about matches the number of humans born with red hair. The science shows that life and humanity is more complicated than just two genders. About the idea that policies with regard to locker rooms and restroom facilities at Hononegah be changed, and about the push from some people to change policies rooted in Illinois law about human rights, I ask, where would you place our intersex children? They go here. Are they going to be in the boys' room or the girls' room? A little civics lesson as well. It seems like there was a call for one. Democratic expressions of majority rule have, at least since the Enlightenment, been limited by natural rights. Natural rights of all humans, human rights, are not to be trampled by domineering majorities. They're called human rights. And then, surprise, surprise, I better pick it up. The history teacher wants to talk a little history. In the early part of the last century, the culture of the United States resisted naturally born left-handed humans. You see, while many people are born with a dominant right-handedness, a smaller majority of people is born different. These different humans have more dominant left hands. And it feels natural for them to use their left hands. They do tasks like writing, cutting with scissors, and shooting a basketball with their left hands. Well, back in the early 20th century, the dominant right-handers in society decided this was abnormal. And they developed a bunch of ridiculous justifications to suppress natural left-handedness. In 1946, the New York City Board of Education chief psychiatrist argued that left-handed children needed to be retrained to prevent severe developmental disabilities. Retraining was, of course, code for physical punishment. Misguided educators did things like tying the left hand of lefties behind their chairs. This kept them from doing what came naturally. Prejudice against left-handedness, a natural human trait, has been shown to be ridiculous. Left-handers have been president of the United States, including Hoover, Truman, Reagan, Bush, Clinton, and Obama. The list of lefties also includes other prominent people, such as Bill Gates and Oprah Winfrey. Intolerance and hateful treatment of left-handed humans did not end their existence. People were and are born left-handed. It is interesting, at least to me, to note that left-handedness appears in behavior.
1 minute.
But doesn't show in other outward physical markers. Humans are complex. They are born diverse with many differences. Some of those differences are visible in genitalia, boys, girls, intersex. Sometimes the differences are visible. Not all natural human differences and complexities, however, are marked by physical traits. There are left-handed humans, and homosexuals, and bisexuals. Those different ways of being, not marked by physical, visible attributes, are natural. Instead of attacking humans born differently in smaller numbers, let us instead commit to achieving a society where it is irrational and ridiculous to punish human differences. Thankfully, the left-handers have gotten better treatment for about 100 years, and seeing the silliness of the persecution of left-handedness, how about we make a better world and a stronger human community? Let's knock off the silly discrimination against transgender and non-binary people.
Andrew Murtak on deck.
Hi there, my name is Jessica Stilbar. I am a resident in Glasgow and a volunteer for more than 10 years. I support girls in our community, and I saw notice that this meeting was brought today by people outside of our community. The things that we have in place and from the stories we've heard tonight, I think we can all agree that, excuse me, I don't have that, I didn't have a fancy speech prepared. I didn't know this was going to be like that, so I've got some notes put together here. But I do believe that many of the people in the room are here with the same belief inside that they want to have a safe and most successful future for their children. And while the other parts of what they have to say may not align with each other. I really want to keep in mind that we are talking about students. So whether we're talking about one group or the other, they're all students. They are coming to this school to get an education and to further their future. I have a freshman that is here in attendance at Hononegah. She has an incredibly wild dream planned out for her. And coming into this school, she was nervous about the expectations and things that would be there, but she's got her 4-year plan set up, she's making other plans past that, and so on. And so back to the point of tonight's conversation is that the things that are in place are, let me change that statement. The things that are happening now are one thing that's under discussion, but at the same time, sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought with that. Okay. Another point that I wanted to make was that I really think about as evidenced by, so when we're bringing these types of conversations to the board, I'm really curious to know as far as like thinking, and we're great because there's no questions being answered, but if there's no ongoing situations that are happening at the school, why do we need to put in a place of set rules, whether they're the minority or not, to take away rights from individuals? We all have a right to be heard and to share our opinion, and in the audience tonight, we have adults that are being inconsiderate to others while interrupting or making comments. I really, really appreciate the board for hosting this. Thank you for your patience for being here and listening to everybody and what they have to say. I'm impressed by the students and what they have to say, and I just really hope that, if anything, we can take a few minutes to think about what other people are saying and really hear it, just as much as we want that other an oppositional person's opinion to hear and align with us. We have to stop and listen to what they have to say, right? So cooperation and community is what will bring us together and move us forward. And then I wanted to close with some statements related that there are individuals who may be too afraid to come forward and share their experiences or their opinions. And that's going to be the case for some kids in their age. They are growing into the person they're going to be. With that, I encourage everyone here to, if you're not already, 1 minute, or if you are, continue to encourage your daughters and sons and children to grow into that person and encourage them to speak up about the things that they have to say. So just to hear that someone's afraid and that you have to come and speak for them, I don't need anyone to speak for me, and I encourage my daughter every day to stand up and say what she thinks and she feels that is right, and everyone here has that same right as a citizen here in this state. So thank you for your time, I appreciate it.
Andrew, Amanda Stanley on deck.
Good evening, school board. I'm an alum. I graduated in 2011. My name is Andrew Rudzenich, local attorney. My pronouns are he, they. And I say hello, school board, because you guys were a faceless thing behind a curtain when I was in school. Didn't know what the heck you were. School board, is that wood? No. So, I want to talk to you a little bit about what Hononegah is. As a student who grew up here, who transplanted, quite frankly. I grew up in Rockford. I live in Belvedere now with my husband. But I started out in Rockford, and in the interest of white flight, my parents moved up to Roscoe, and I was blessed to have an amazing education. Hononegah to me is one of the premier institutions. It's a gem in our area, an amazing school district. And part of the reason I put that up there is because it wasn't there when I was here. We had a GSA, but I was still in the closet so deep I thought I was straight. And I didn't come to that realization until late in undergrad. And then I had to tell my parents. And a few months after I did, my dad tried to commit suicide. On top of that, a few years later, his dad told him, "You failed as a father. You raised a gay son." And then I look tonight, and I see safe spaces here. I see people standing up. I see students, people who were in my shoes a decade and a half ago, who are saying, "I exist. All I need is a little bit of help." I am so glad that I read the statement that said, "We are going to abide by the law." I don't know if I mentioned this because sometimes I get a little bit confused in my own head. I'm an attorney. You can still hire me. I swear I'm confident. But I've done con law. I remember Law School 101. In fact, if you'll allow me to brag for a moment, I am one of the few attorneys in Illinois who has actually had a statute declared unconstitutional. Article 24 of the Township Code, look it up. I'm sure it's a great read. But my point is that Hononegah continues to amaze me in the fact that it is better than when I left. It's actually helping the students who need it. I think most importantly, there are students here who are going to identify differently. They're going to be different. And coming to terms with myself, that I am different. And more importantly, that's okay and it's something to be celebrated. My point in this is that there are students who are going to have some amazing experiences here. I remember my first crush, my first, shall we say, well, what the heck, it was an accidental kiss of someone, and it was absolutely awesome. Actually, Mr. Geddes, that it was right where you're sitting. It was purely accidental. But that's the experiences of the awkward teenager in high school, and they deserve to have those experiences. And they deserve to know that this is a safe place. Thank you for making Hononegah a better place than when I left. And more importantly, I live out in Belvedere, but I would want my children to come to Hononegah because it is that better place. Thank you.
Amanda Stanley, Stephen Ramberg on deck.
Bueller?
Bueller? Stephen, you're up.
Well, geez, everybody got a little extra time than I did, so. First of all, I just want to say, hello, Hononegah! Sounds silly, but the reason I say that is because y'all deserve to hear the voice of a very proud, non-binary individual that is here today. Use they, them pronouns, thank you very much. I also say that because I actually graduated from Winnebago in 2010, and my voice was the biggest thing that allowed me to be bullied by everybody, to a point where I wanted to kill myself. It was so difficult for me to go to school every day. And I had to decide, do I go to school to face my bullies, or do I go home to face my bullies that were parents? And it was very difficult for me. And I remember specifically the one thing that I thought all the time, this is kind of silly, I always wanted to come to Hononegah because they had a GSA. I always wanted to come here because it was the only place that uplifted anybody that looked like me, or talked like me, or sounded like me, and I somehow made it through. But that is to say that there are so many students across the county that are looking at you right now, because you are creating an amazing space for them. And that means way more than just Hononegah and your community. It is so many other people that wish that they could be like you, that look up to Hononegah. There are school districts that are modeling themselves after you, whether you know it or not. I also want to draw attention to the people that have come here today to speak with you. We have heard from our representative and senators that they are trying to speak for a majority, where I see a majority of this room is supporting trans youth. And one thing that has touched me very deeply is the people that are not a part of the LGBT community, the allies, the heterosexual people that are here saying that just because we are a very small percentage does not mean that we do not matter. And I encourage you to continue to look at all of us with love and with understanding and acceptance. And that is one hair away from somebody thinking about suicide. And you know that your students think about these things. So I encourage you to uphold what you have been upholding and think of all of us. Thank you so much for your time.
Very strong, Hononegah.
Hello. I guess I didn't realize it was a speech, so I don't have one prepared, but I have a couple things to speak about. I guess the biggest thing that I'd like you guys to think about is the fact that allowing biological males in with girls' locker rooms and restrooms. Any of you gentlemen at the stage just walked into someplace like the YMCA, disrobed and exposed yourself to a bunch of women, you'd be arrested and charged. But for some reason, that's allowed to do that to children. That is unacceptable.
Has that happened to you?
The other thing is that I keep hearing people talk about rights, trans rights. There are no such thing. There are only rights. There are only
Bigot!
rights. That's not bigotry.
Yes, it is!
Hey, you've done a real good
Your
job.
rights do not extend any further than other people's begin. And when you do not get to say this is my right to impose upon other people, that is not acceptable. And that's not your right.
What you're trying to do, though.
You guys act like no damage has been done by these type of laws throughout the nation, and all you have to do is a simple Google search. Recently, Stonebridge High School in Virginia, 15-year-old trans student, sexually anally raped.
What does this have to do with anything?
You keep saying that there's no danger.
Okay, come on.
You guys act like there's nothing happens, please, and it's just being blind.
He just wants to talk about anal rape.
Yeah, that's right.
We can tell.
You know, I will bring it up again. 0.6% of the population, right? You don't get to impose upon everybody else your will for 0.6. There are other accommodations that can be done without making it uncomfortable for the rest of us.
They're doing that.
It's unacceptable.
Already being done.
I'm a father of 3, and I wouldn't stand for this. As a matter of fact, we moved, like other people had mentioned, they moved to this district, and now they're regretting it.
Leave.
Because the law says this. That's exactly why we pulled our kids out. We homeschool, but it's still unacceptable for everyone.
Then why are you here?
Because I am a community member.
come on.
It's not okay for you to subject other children to this abuse. It's abuse. He's absolutely correct when he says it's sexual abuse. That is sexual abuse. Girls, in general, women in general, have safety concerns.
Wait a second. Wait. Please be respectful. We've done a great job tonight. Let them talk.
Guys, anybody that wants to believe that allowing men into a women's space doesn't pose a safety concern hasn't looked at the biological differences of men versus women. There is absolutely a disparity in force between the average male and the average female.
I can beat your ass.
There are outliers.
You're in because he wants
Some
to
women
dominate
could
women.
fend off.
He wants to dominate women.
By and large, that is not true. If we're not considering that, we're not doing our jobs to protect all children. Now that said, I don't hate anybody. Regardless of what you guys want to sit there and throw at us. You know, I talk about hate a lot. I've heard so much hate coming from people that don't agree with me. You know, I've heard people tell me to go take a toaster bath today. And, like,
You still got time.
what the fuck? Seriously.
Whoa! Shut it down! He's swearing. Nope, you said that they weren't allowed to be swearing.
Please direct your comments to the board.
You're so vitriolic, sir.
Okay. That's all I got.
1 minute.
Is, you know, just reconsider it. And,
Reconsider your existence.
just think about it if it was you. You wouldn't be allowed.
That's because
any
they're
of you
grown
guys
ups.
did it. And then it goes the other way, obviously, too. But I will say that the girls pose there's a greater safety concern for the girls than there are for the boys. That's just biological differences. But I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Chris Wong.
Boo!
Leslie Johnson on deck.
Good evening.
Wow.
I want to thank the Hononegah School Board for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I
Police officer just went.
Senator Chesney and Representative Cabello for attending. You're still here. And I also really want to say thank you so much to all of the wonderful students and parents behind me, which I will gesture without accusing anyone of being radical. My name is Gracie Wong, and I'm a senior here at Hononegah. I'm the captain of both the math team and the swim team, the principal clarinetist of the local Rockton Youth Symphony Orchestra, a SOAR tutor, and the treasurer of her National Honor Society. I don't mention this to boast, but to give you a clearer picture of who I am, a student who cares very deeply about the school, its students, and its future. I'm here tonight because I care deeply about the environment we create for every student, regardless of background or identity. On senatorchesney.com, there have been expressed concerns about Hononegah's policy on the locker room access for transgender students, calling it quote-unquote woke nonsense, and referencing a claim that 2 transgender girls changed in the girls' PE locker room, which is partially sparked this debate. However, Superintendent Michael Dugan has publicly stated that no formal complaints were ever filed regarding this incident. In other words, the claim doesn't appear to be supported by any documented issue. I believe it's important that our conversations are grounded in facts and not fear. Senator Chesney and Representative Cabello have said that they stand with the parents of Hononegah. I would like to share that my parents are among those parents of Hononegah. They came to America from China as first-generation immigrants. They are legal, if I have to clarify. But they were drawn here by the promise of freedom, opportunity, and that includes inclusion. For them, America's strength lies in its diversity and not just a race or culture, but a thought, experience, and identity. In fact, America was called the melting pot, and that was the reason why they moved here and not Europe. One concern is often raised is that transgender inclusion might create safety issues. But according to the U.S. Department of Justice's Crime Victimization Report and the CDC's Youth Risk Behavior Surveillance System, transgender youth are far more likely to be victims of sexual abuse than perpetrators. A peer-reviewed 2018 study published in Pediatrics, conducted by researchers from the CDC and Harvard, found that more than 1 in 3 transgender high school students report being sexually assaulted in a given year. So when people ask that trans students are a threat, we have to ask, based on what evidence? The fear that someone might pretend to be transgender to enter a locker room is also not supported by data. It's not easy to be openly trans in high school, especially in this climate. Coming out often involves social rejection, loss of privacy, and in many cases, mental health struggles. No one would take that out just to gain inappropriate access to a locker room, and if someone ever did, that behavior would already be a violation of school policy and law. When leaders use language that singles out or excludes marginalized groups, especially young people, it doesn't just spark political debate. It sends a message to student athletes or people of the LGBTQ community or just students in general or even with both. That it's not that's not different and makes you less worthy of belonging. And that's not the message I think Hononegah wants to send. Major professional organizations such as the American Academy of Pediatrics and the National Association of School Psychologists have emphasized that allowing trans students to use facilities that match their gender identity can help reduce harm and improve mental health outcomes. Inclusion isn't about politics, it's about student well-being. I love Hononegah and I'm proud to be a student here. I've had supportive teachers, a great academic experience, and a community that values hard work and mutual respect. I hope we can keep growing in ways that reflect those same values, where every student is treated with dignity, and where discussions about policies are shaped by empathy, facts, and a shared commitment to making our school better for everyone. And as a quote-unquote biological female cis woman, someone who uses she, her pronouns, birthed as female at sex, and as a student athlete, a swimmer in fact, I will say that I do not mind trans people, I don't even know, like using our locker rooms. We don't even have locker rooms because we don't have a pool here. So
Matthew Johnson, Paul Lewis on deck.
Good evening. I'm the Reverend Dr. Matthew Johnson. I'm the minister of the Unitarian Universalist Church in Rockford, Illinois. I'm the parent of a trans kid, and many of the people that I serve in ministry work, live, go to school here at Hononegah High School and are part of your community. And I want to thank you for taking the time to hear so many comments. There are so many governing boards in our community that we only hear from 3 people for 3 minutes each, and you've taken the time tonight. So thanks for staying up late with us. I appreciate it very much. It was wonderful to see you take the break in the midst of the meeting to do the work, to review the reports, to hear what was happening with hiring and the building program and lowering the tax rate for the people that you serve and making sure you have the staffing you need. That's the work you're here to do. You're here to follow the state law. You're here to do the work of educating the students in this area. This is a distraction. A lot of folks are here because when their lives are used as punching bags, as political tools to gin up upsetness, there are real people at stake. And I've been listening to the students who have been speaking tonight, and you should be very proud of the students of the school who are speaking for themselves. They're impressive, and they are real. They are real lives. A lot of this was sparked by Representative Cabello's comments. I have a long memory. I've been here in this community a long time, and years ago hosted a forum, and John Cabello spoke and said at that forum, this is before Illinois made same-sex marriage legal in the state, said if we do this, pretty soon people will be marrying their dogs. I remember it well. And so maybe don't take him so seriously. Because his goal here is not to solve problems or to improve education, but to get people riled up or at cultural wars. You're doing a job of education. Thank you for doing that job. That's your job. Keep doing that job. I will say something. I have a doctorate in ministry and study the Bible closely, and I would urge folks who think that trans and non-binary folks don't belong in society to remember first that God is love, and second to read the 8th chapter of the book of Acts, where the one of the vital converts is an Ethiopian eunuch and is fully welcomed and included, and in fact, bragged about the conversion. Woo! So read the Bible before you start to preach it. And I want to say to all the trans and non-binary folks who are here and who might be listening and hearing what we talk about in this district or other districts later, that you are loved and that you are sacred and that you are valued as your real self. Thanks for doing your job. I hope the next time you guys meet, the meeting is shorter, and you can focus on the work that you are here to do. Keep at it, and we're proud of you.
Juana Lewis, Eric McCord on deck.
Hello. Oh, geez. Didn't realize I was going on. My name is Juana Lewis. Hi, Bob. And I had a child graduate from Hononegah a few years ago. I'm sorry. I'm a mom, and I have a really loud voice. While my son was here, he dated a trans student. I'm going to be reading a couple things as a direct from the Trevor Project website. Suicide is the second leading cause of death among young people aged 10 to 14, and the third leading cause of death among 15 to 24-year-olds, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 2022. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning young people are at significantly increased risk. LGBTQ plus young people are more than 4 times as likely to attempt suicide than their peers. The Trevor Project estimates that more than 1.8 million LGBTQ young people ages 13 to 24 seriously consider suicide each year in the U.S. At least one attempt of suicide occurs every 45 seconds. The Trevor Project's 2023 U.S. National Survey on the mental health of LGBTQ young people found that 41% of LGBTQ young people seriously considered attempting suicide in the past year, including roughly half of transgender and binary youth. Transgender and non-binary young people face elevated risks for depression, thoughts of suicide, and attempting suicide compared to those who are cisgender and straight, including cisgender members of the LGBTQ plus community. A 2020 peer-reviewed study by the Trevor Project's researchers, published in Journal of Adolescent Health, found that transgender and non-binary youth were 2 to 2.5 times as likely to experience depressive symptoms, seriously consider suicide, and attempt suicide compared to their cisgender LGBTQ peers. The trans child that I spoke of did not always have the greatest support of their family or of their community, but they did find safety and support here in their school district through inclusive policies and procedures, as well as some incredible staff and their fellow student body. I commend you for the great work that you are doing, and while I know some of you do not believe in it, I hope that you will continue to lead with not only compassion, but diversity, equality, and inclusion for all. Thank you.
Eric McCord, Susan Anderson on deck.
Hello. My sister was a 1995 graduate of Hononegah High School. My other sister was a 2001 graduate of Hononegah High School. I am a 2005 graduate of Hononegah High School. I've been in the arts class. I've worked with Chad and Kathy and Mr. Floor. Sorry, still a hacker. There were LGBTQ students here in 1923. There are LGBTQ students in 95, in 2001, 2005. My son will be attending here in 2032.
Same.
LGBTQ students will still be here. This building, this school, this room would not be the same without LGBTQ students. We have student workers, possibly here tonight, that are of that community. They need to be cherished, they need to be loved, they need to be protected. The school board is following the law, and that's what I urge the school board to continue to do. Thank you.
Susan Anderson, Nolan Philpott on deck.
Hello, my name is Reverend Susan Anderson. I am actually a resident of Monroe, but I've driven by Hononegah High School so many times and always been curious, so I'm really pleased to be here. I came here tonight in support of the trans students and their families, and I support the Hononegah School Board in upholding the right to use the locker rooms and bathrooms corresponding with their gender identity. I'm really appreciating the bravery and courage I'm hearing here tonight, especially on the part of the trans students and their allies. As a cisgendered white woman and faith leader, I'm here to say that I appreciate each and every member of the LGBTQIA Two-Spirit community. You enrich our lives every day. You enrich my life every day. By being who you are, you help me to feel more free to be who I am, and I deeply appreciate you. And I want to say too that you have every right to be here exactly as you are, and you belong, period. To the board members, I want to say thank you for your endurance tonight. Good job in upholding the law, and I hope that you will continue to protect all students. Thank you.
No one killed by.
No one left.
No one left?
Yeah, left.
Okay. Well,
we're done.
That's the end of the list. I'd like to thank everybody for being as courteous as you were tonight. I know it's been a long night, a lot of stuff going on. Thank you. Yes?
School board, hello. I was wondering, were you going to allow for the public to speak with you as well? I remember you mentioning that in the beginning. I was not on the list, but I waited so that I could have my share.
You had to sign up.
Tonight with all of you. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, thank you so much.
We need your name for the rest.
Oh, of course. My name is Mary Dousman. I am a mom. This is not a political issue. This is not about hate or discrimination. This is an issue about women's safety. You are allowing persons with male genitalia in biological female sacred spaces, and this makes them vulnerable. In the beginning of this meeting, each of you pledged that you would work for excellence for the personal development of all the students who attend Hononegah High School. Allowing persons with male genitalia in a locker room alongside persons with female genitalia is very detrimental to a woman's personal development. It is sexual harassment. During adolescence and puberty, male sexual drive increases significantly due to hormonal changes, particularly elevated testosterone, which influences both physical and psychological aspects of sexuality. This heightened drive can lead to changes in sexual ideation, non-coital behavior, and the initiation of sexual activity. 81% of women report experiencing sexual harassment or assault at some point in their lives. Women are the greater majority of victims of sexual harassment, which includes nonverbal communication that is sexually charged and makes the recipient uncomfortable, feeling stripped of her dignity. Allowing persons with male genitalia in locker rooms with persons with female genitalia here at Hononegah is a Pandora's box to women being harassed and assaulted by persons with male genitalia who are predators. Several have quoted tonight that nothing bad is going on in our female-designated locker rooms. But as of now, there are no protections at Hononegah High School in this scenario for young females from being sexually harassed. How many occurrences of sexual harassment, whether by a look or physical act, will need to happen for you to wake up to your failure to provide a safe space for biological females to dress and undress in Hononegah High School designated female locker rooms? The policy that Hononegah High School is currently upholding presents with great error when it supports the statement that says the discomfort or privacy concerns of other students, teachers, or parents are not valid reasons to deny or limit the full and equal use of facilities based on a student's gender-related identity. My question for you is, why is the comfort of one group of students prioritized over another? In this case, why is the comfort of persons with male genitalia who identify as females elevated over the comfort of teenage girls who deserve safety and protection and a safe space to dress and undress, separate from persons with male genitalia? This is discrimination and favoring one group of persons or students' comfort over another group of students. My husband and I have 7 daughters of our own, 4 who are currently teenagers. We have raised our girls to respect their bodies and to hold to moral standards that will protect their bodies and their souls. This policy at Hononegah High School is forcing young girls at a difficult age to do something they know and most adults know is wrong. This policy is forcing young females to dress and undress in front of persons with male genitalia who identify as females. If biological females are not comfortable with this, they are considered the exception, and they need to request a private dressing room. The biological female is made to feel that her feelings of being uncomfortable in a locker room with persons with male genitalia is a minority view, which it is not. Allowing biological teenage girls to share locker rooms with persons with male genitalia results in them becoming desensitized to current and future dangerous situations. This desensitization makes females even more susceptible to sexual harassment, as they are more likely to take their guard down and place themselves in compromising situations.
Go home!
Okay,
Go home!
Okay, we're done.
Woo!
Okay.
Would you allow one more? I am a student here.
Run it back, let's go.
Let her speak.
What's one more? Let's go.
So you're going to say something different than what you were doing with your mother?
Yes.
Okay.
As you know, my mother did speak earlier, and she did show that I am very involved with the school. I am an athlete. I have been an athlete my entire time, and even in middle school and before that. As someone who was born assigned female and has now realized that I identify closer with a two-spirit or non-binary identity called Mushe in the native community that we are from, I have never come out to teammates out of fear that they would shame me. It is very difficult to be as involved as I am and still continue to be affected. As plenty of my other fellow students have said before, it is hard being not cisgender at Hononegah Community High School. It is not easy, and it's very difficult to try to explain how hard it becomes when sometimes it is easier to just not listen. And there are many things that are already being done to help the students here. Whether or not we need more is up to you. However, I think to remove it is a dangerous activity, especially since there are already reasonings not to. The soccer girls, we don't use the locker rooms for sports. We will change in the bathrooms. For golf, we will change at Red Barn or at Mactown. We don't use the locker rooms, and the bathrooms there are single stalls. There is never an opportunity for students, specifically female students, to be uncomfortably forced to see the genitalia of others. If that is occurring, that is something that is happening that has been discussed already. That's not something that someone is just walking in and doing. Freshman year, I was in the girls' locker room. Whether or not there were trans kids in there, I don't know. I was the trans kid in there, but nobody noticed. And that's just how it is. Students don't particularly care because we have other things to worry about, like cockroaches, or making sure that like our heart rate monitors are working right so that we'll be able to get our points for PE class. We don't have to worry about if someone's gonna look at us or not, and if they do, that's their problem. It's just something that I think is very important to either keep or further, not to repeal. Thank you.
Is there any more business to come before the board this evening?
Oh gosh.
We've cut off the sign up.
Oh.
So what are you going to do?
I just wanted to say my thoughts and views on it real quick. I'll be very brief.
Be very brief.
I will. I just wanted to say I currently have a Mexican girlfriend, and I'll get to the point. Many of the people who oppose this have been in support of our current president, Donald Trump, and I'm tired of everybody saying that this isn't a political issue. I wish it wasn't, but the matter of fact is that it is. And so I'm tired of people saying that it just isn't, right? And so most of the people who are anti-trans that are saying these trans women shouldn't be allowed in the women's locker room, right, are part of MAGA, believe in that. And so I just want the board to know that in voting against keeping the laws that we have in place is going against this oligarchy that is being created around our nation, and you're standing up for the voices of us students and not just yourselves. And I wanted that to be clear, that it's not just you guys, it's for us and our future. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Now is not any more business to come before the board.
I got something.
Go home and eat some dinner.
Thank you. Thank you,
Hearing
guys.
none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.